Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round one of the Le Mans Ultimate Mixed Endurance Series. Coming to you live from the Jamaica Simulation Racing Association. We are now at the legendary circuit of the Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. This is the opening round of a brand new championship featuring both LMDh hypercars and the GT3 machinery on track together. Two classes, one battlefield. Plenty of storylines are already starting to take shape. We've had two qualifying sessions to fill this grid. We have a lot of repeat drivers as well as a few new names. Now, Spa hardly needs an introduction at 7 kilometers in length. It's one of the most iconic and demanding tracks in the world, with a mix of high-speed straights, technical corners, and of course the famous climb through Rouge and Radion. Drivers will be tested everywhere from the sweeping speed of Blanchimont to the heavy braking zones of La Sauce and the bus stop chicane. Strategy, traffic management, and nerves of steel will be all crucial tonight. We have about 2 minutes remaining. The format for this opener is a 1 hour and 30-minute endurance race. Drivers will be battling through split qualifying sessions in a few moments, with GT3 cars taking the first 10 minutes, the LMDh hypercars following very soon after. And then it will be time for them to share the track for the very first time in the 2025 JSRA Mixed Endurance Championship, round one at Spa-Francorchamps. Round one is an endurance. Next up is at Imola. It will be a sprint race, 45 minutes. Points will be crucial right from the start, though, with two drop races in play. As a matter of fact, we have one drop race of the worst endurance and one of the worst sprint series as well that will be counted at the end of the season. So the two best endurance and the two best sprint races. It also will be a team championship, so points will be crucial right from the start. And with the drop race rule again in play, consistency will matter just as much as as outright pace. My apologies, got confused here for a second. Carol Eiten there, bigging up the Valkyrie, which, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time we are going to be hearing the beautiful sound of it as it's out on track. Not seeing anybody. Here we go. Bruce Penner, one of the newest drivers to the JSRA, one of the drivers from Trinidad and Tobago, has pace in that brilliant Aston Martin Valkyrie. We'll listen to it now as practice comes to a conclusion. Man, this is going to be the car to watch all series. Diego de Cinero's right there behind. Place P3 in the LMP2 class. Automatically was eligible after showing his driver and safety rank. Right now, Bruce Penner right there in front of that Porsche. This is going to be a very awesome battle on the way. We have 12 registered for the LMDh class. Omar Escorcio, we remembered him. He did win the series, tied with Kadim Mohammed. Both not looking at making it this evening. Hopefully we'll see one or both make it at some point. As well as Danny Garcia. And my apologies, that was Javier Brandao, not Diego de Cineros. So Javier there, repping for GT Panama this evening. Still has some more drivers to come in, so we'll wait and hope that they come in for qualifying. GT3 will begin in a moment's time. And as the final few moments get underway, you see the drivers now immediately headed back to the pits. And we will have qualifying in a moment's time, with the GT3 starting out first. So the first 10 minutes will go to the GT3 class. And ladies and gentlemen, the qualifying is now underway. Kurt Moss will be leading the pack here this evening for the GT3 class. Everybody is out and ready to go. So as it stands, we have 15 drivers out there ready in the GT3 class. We'll ride along board with Kurt Moss as he starts the first lap. As he comes through the bus stop, this will be his rundown now to the start-finish line to begin the first flying lap of this evening. And we will ride along board with him as he heads to the first heavy braking zone right by turn 1. This is going to be the infamous rundown after at the beginning of lap 1. And he will be pushing, going up Eau Rouge. The track is saturated. As he goes through up Eau Rouge, the infamous Eau Rouge and Radion, down the Kebble Straight. I'm sure I would have loved to have had some form of a tow. You will see that tow very powerful here as he heads down to Lake Holmes by corners 7, 8, and 9. This is the second chicane of the first chicane of the track. Second if you include up Eau Rouge and Radion. Kurt Moss, very neat and very tidy. He's one that always does lend to some very good racing here. 38.122 in Sector 1. So far, the fastest so far in front of Dante Query and Richard Dial and Shannon Dutton. So, Kurt Moss clearly showing his pace here so far. Ricardo Swaby only 700th down on him. He is not too far behind. So, we'll continue to watch as Mr. Massive here comes around right by, where is this? This is by Brussels, if I remember correctly, as he heads down now into 13, 14, and 15. But he is looking very good so far. Very neat, very tidy as you see him going there. As he comes around to head up to Blanchimont, corner number 17. should be closing out sector 2. Yes, he does. 63.265. 3/10 quicker than Dante behind him. So has found some pace here this evening. Looking like provisional pole for at least a top 5, top 6, top 8 so far. And looking rapid as he comes through the final bus stop chicane. Comes around. It's going to be a drag race to set his first lap of this qualifying session. And he crosses the line there with a 2:21.112 rapid time there for the Jamaican. Dante Quere right behind, 2:21.489. Richard Dyer now comes around the final chicane as well, repping for 7 Mile Racing, one of our sponsors here, represented by Automotive Arts out in Cayman Islands. 2:23.776. Shannon there from Bahamas does take, or Barbados, my apologies, does take P3 right now. 2:22.567. Ricardo Soebi in P4 with a 2:22.631. Sebastian Rodriguez, the Panamanian driver, comes across the line, doesn't set an indicative time, so he begins his first flying lap. Matthew Titus, a Jamaican, now 8/10 off a pace, 2:23.489. Haven't seen Michelle Wallace here this evening as yet, folks, so has he missed out this evening? But we continue to ride along board. Joe Santamara in that Aston Martin. We saw the Aston Martin come in late in the season last sprint series with the Brunion in Eman Rayan. He was rapid, was about half of a second clear of the field in every race. He put on some really good racing. Hoping to see him. He said he couldn't make it for the first 2 rounds. Hopefully we'll see him in the 3rd. Right now we sit with the Jamaican driving for Team Jamaica JSRA. Not the Jamaican livery yet, but you will see it coming in next week's race as he prepares and we get the final details done for the sponsors for the season. Kurt Moss sits on provisional pole. And just now, Deville Park crosses the line. He's been a late entry into this field. He in the Aston Martin has set it on provisional pole, has been enjoying his time here in Le Mans Ultimate, and he has found some pace. Now 400th up. We haven't seen anybody in the 220s all week. Will we see the first to make it as he goes wide to allow the BMW? Who was that? We'll check in a moment's time, but right now he is now 400th up on the Jamaicans. The 2 Jamaicans on the top 2. Shannon there is very rapid. My apologies, Dante there is very rapid, sits in P3, only 4/10 down. Nathan Bryan there as well makes his name known. Rohey Robinson has been one of our faster drivers in the past. He hasn't made much noise in the GT3 class since we've come into the picture. Vincent Da Silva as well, GT Panama, is yet to set a qualifying time, as well as Ramiro Dominguez of GT Panama. So we'll continue to watch to see what happens there, but only time will tell. Right now as it stands, Kurt Moss there is looking rapid with a 37.983, so purple sector 1. So will he be the first in the 220s? We'll watch to see what happens. John Singleton in the chat, got it that we're missing you as well, brother. Did make it in the qualifying session, so not sure why he's missing out this evening, but I'm sure we'll be back as soon as possible with about 1.5 minutes remaining for the GT3 class. The time is definitely going down, and the LMDh cars will be ready to line up in about 20 seconds. But as that stands, we'll watch to see what will come in the next few moments as Kurt Moss is trying to take back provisional pole. Not improving much in sector 2, but only down by about a 10th off of the provisional pole leader in Deville Park. So who will take it here, ladies and gentlemen? Leave your votes and cast your votes. 11 minutes to go now. The LMDh cars will start lining themselves up for the beginning of their session. as you see the hypercars there lining up, but we'll watch to see what happens in a moment's time. Right now the focus is still on the GT3 cars. The Ville Park leads by 4/100th of a second to the likes of Kurt Moss and Dante Quer. Nathan Bryan as well sits in P4 right outside the podium. Where will he stand at the end of this? Vincent Da Silva still yet to leave the pits, he and his teammate Ramiro Dominguez. But here comes Kurt Moss to start his finish up his final lap of this qualifying session. The hypercars should be heading out in a moment's time in 4, 3, 2, 1 second. There you go. Ian Lance will be the leader to start, and the drivers will be on the way for this qualifying session for them. The Ville Park now not improving in Sector 1, still has some work to do. So some drivers still on a flying lap here. Once they finish this flying lap, they will pull to the side and allow the hypercars to get going. Others there, Nathan Bryan not improving, cannot start another lap, heads into the pits. Shannon there, whoa, by thousandth. I do have braces, ladies and gentlemen, so please excuse the list, but by 1,000, my word, the third number in the timing is up on the likes of the Ville Park and Kurt Moss. So how will he go with a 38.131 right now? Will he be able to throw a little bit of drama here in the mix? Daniel Velez is in the chats. Huge shout out to our brother there out in Colombia from Nova Racing Store, our partners here at the JSRA. Will be representing his country and his league. I'll leave him to give the finer details in 10-hour endurance in real life. So moving from sim racing into reality. Huge congratulations to our brother there. Sorry to miss you here, but we are looking forward to seeing what you can do in reality and in the future, because we know we will see you in the latter stages after round 2. So right now Shannon there improves in Sector 2, currently in 6th position, but is looking if he can gain an advantage. Was that a hypercar in the background? It is. So you don't want too much of the drivers mixing. The Ville Park heads into the pits, so does Kurt Moss, and so does Cesar Barahona. Dante Quer is still out there and trying to see where he can improve. Nope, cannot. But no, Shannon, as we see him, comes around the final corner. Where will this lap put him? 2:16, 17, 18, 19, 21. That was a rapid time. Does it allow him to improve? No, it does not. 222.089. The GT3 class is over. We'll ride along board now with Ian Lance, who will be starting his first flying lap for this evening. And where will this put him? He is one of those drivers that we've seen in the past. Rapid. Right, sorry, my apologies. Rapid driver. We've seen him consistent as well. We'll watch to see where he can put that car. Now only about 100 down on Raven Plummer. Mikhail Charles, though, he's been the fastest driver. Omar Scorsia has been one of those that we've watched in the past, but Mikhail Charles, we'll ride along board with him because he is racing the Trinidad Driver 47 Mile Racing team in that Aston Martin Valkyrie. But he is going to be the driver to watch, as well as Mr. Jaden Harrison and Mr. Ian Lance. Camilo Andres Mora as well. Seen him in the chat for a little bit. The Colombian driver, rapid as always. He was one of the few in the 35s in the qualifying session for the hypercars, so we're glad that we could have gotten him involved in this series and in that class. We'll see where he can put himself in the next few moments, but qualifying has just begun, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first lap for these drivers. 55.0834 Ian Lance right now, but 5/10 quicker is Mikhail Charles in Sector 2. Wow, what a disparity that has been. But Ian Lance now will be the first to actually set an indicative time as he comes around the final chicane, comes around the final corner. Drag race now to that start finish line. What will his time be? 2 minutes 1.2 What was that? My apologies. 2 minute 1.952. So 2 seconds clear of Jaden Harrison. 2 minutes 3.488. Mikhail Charles though does put it on provisional pole. 5/10 clear of the Cayman driver. Kyril Eiten there. His teammate sits in P3. Teammate of Mikhail Charles from 7 Mile Racing. So that's going to be interesting to watch. Phil Brown of the United States does sit in P6 with a 2 minute 5.156. Raven Plummer was on a flying lap. Looks like she may have invalidated it. 56.501 in Sector 1. Sector 2, my apologies. So we'll continue to watch and see where that will lead in the next next 5 minutes. Mikhail Charles now on a provisional pole with a 2:01.451. Nicholas Spender there with the jokes. Ricky Swebe is out. Now sits in P7 in the class. Michelle Wallace did not qualify here this evening. Not sure if he will be making it this evening for round 1. Johnny Wilson was the first to make known that he will not, unfortunately, will not be making it because of a flu, it seems. So we wish him a speedy recovery. But right now, Mikhail Charles sitting 5/10 clear of Ian Lance. Camilo Andres Mora sits in P3, 9/10 down, and Kyril Eiten, Javier Brandao, Jaden Harrison 2 seconds down, alongside Mr. Brandao and Bruce Penner. So we'll continue to watch. Jaden Harrison is improving back, good second as well. But where will that put him? Still not close enough. He sits now P5, 1.6 seconds off of pole position and loses it there at the end of turn 1. Hopefully gets it off the track quickly. And thank God he does. We'll ride along board to listen to that Cadillac, the second best sounding car in my opinion on the track. Camilo was rapid in the practice session. Where will this put him in the next few moments? He's right now 9/10 down, but is setting a purple Sector 1. Sector 2 not quick enough because Mikhail Charles is as well improving in Sector 2, the 54.669. So Mikhail Charles has just put a stamp on this battle, and it's looking like he just wants to be very dominant here this evening. Ian Lance as well improves in Sector 1, has some work to do. Quite some work to do, as a matter of fact. Camila Andres crosses the line with a 202.159. Still not improving in at least in the top 3, but still improves on his time. And does draw a little bit closer. 7/10 now to get between himself and Mikhail Charles. Ian Lance as well, not improving in Sector 2. So we'll look back at the bottom of the pack at the moment. Raven Plummer needs to get a good lap in because the 2 minutes remaining has some work to do. Does set a very clean and rapid Sector 1. Danny Garcia as well. Daniel Garcia, he is on track. Yes, he is on track. Also a rapid driver, came P5 in the Sprint Series last in the LMP2s, is representing in that Toyota for Colombia. So we look forward to seeing what he can do. Jaden Harrison though in that Valkyrie is still yet to put a proper time. We know him to be in the top 5, top 3. Normally in the top 2, but has been having some issues. Switched to the hypercars last minute. Hopefully we'll see him a little bit further up the grid in the next few moments. But right now, Kyril Eiten is improving in his time. Well, about to, based on this, does improve in Sector 1. Will he be able to dethrone and get onto the podium? He has his teammate in pole position at the moment, 5 tenths clear of P2, so that's going to be very fun to watch. Can he and his teammate lock out the top two at least lock out the podium? But as it stands, they will be locking out the first two rows between himself and Camilo Andres Mora and Ian Lance, his countryman. Kyril Eiden will be pushing. Raven Plummer there, fastest lap so far with a 204.226. Still has some work to do, but the qualifying session is not over just yet. My apologies, I wish we could have the map up as well as the towers, but unfortunately LMU does not give us that option, so we'll just continue to watch and enjoy as we see what's happening now. But as Kyril comes across to finish his final qualifying lap, he does not improve on his time, and that will lead him to head to the pits as the top four are now conceding their times. Javier Brandao comes around to finish his last lap. Will he improve? 2-minute 1, 2-minute 2, 2-minute 3. Does not look like he'll be improving either. Jaden Harrison, the next one as well, will be trying to see where he can put that car. Danny as well. Raven and Bruce have called it a day. Jaden Harrison crosses the line and will be finishing out on P2 and will take it right behind his friend in Michael Charles with a 201.677. So left it up until the last moment, but got that flying lap in and now sits on the podium alongside, well, it's not even, it's 4 different countries in the top 4. Trinidad taking the top at the moment. Danny Garcia 3 seconds down. This looks like he will be just bringing that car in to the pit. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Charles sits on pole position with a 201.451, followed by Jaden Harrison 2 tenths down. Ian Lancer sits in P3, so it's 2 Aston Martins, 1 Toyota, then Camilo Andres Mora in P4, the Colombian driver, 7 tenths down off of Michael Charles in that Cadillac. Kyril Eiden sits in P5 and then followed by Andres Quevedo in P6, Javier Brandao in P7, Danny Garcia in P8, Bruce Penna, the Trinidad driver, making his debut here in P9, Raven Plummer in P10, and Phil Brown in P11. We are missing 2 drivers here this evening. In the hypercars. Unfortunately, getting no, Declan and Casey will be missing the race here this evening due to internet outages over where they are. So unfortunate, we will be missing them. They were top 2, so that is pain and suffering. Omar now saying he's just got in, so he will be joining, but unfortunately will be missing out on qualifying.
Teams and drivers go to the grid for a race start.
So we have 2 minutes. So in that time, my apologies, just reaching out to the drivers and speaking to them as we go along. But in this time, the starting order will go as follows. We have Michael Charles on pole position, followed by Jaden Harrison, P1, P2, locking out the front row. Ian Lance and Camilo Andres Mora in P3 and P4, 1 in the Toyota, 1 in the Cadillac. Kyril Eiden in P5, Andres Quevedo in P6, followed by Javier Brandao and Daniel Garcia in P7 and P8. Next up is Bruce Penner and Raven Plummer in P9 and P10. The Trinidad driver in the Valkyrie, Raven Plummer, the American driver in P10. Phil Brown in P11. Diego De Cineros in P12. But I believe Omar will be taking Diego because I don't believe Diego is here this evening. Deville Park takes pole position for the GT3 class with Kurt Moss. Cesar Barahona in P3 and P4. So Cesar and Dante will be taking the next two in P4. Nathan Brown in P5. Shannon in P6. Ricardo Swaby in P7. Followed by Roger Kello and Rohey Robinson in P8 and P9. Joel Santamario and Matthew Titus P10 and P11. Matthew Titus obviously in P11 in the Jamaican or Brazilian colors. Rich Dow in P12 and Rohan Harris in P13. He did take P2 in the last league in Rohan Harris. Julian Narcisse in P14. Sebastian Rodriguez in P15. AJ Martin in P16. Casey Japman as well as unfortunately will not be making it here this evening. Declan Daniel as well. Ramiro Dominguez, we were supposed to have him on board, but we will see what happens. David Casey is the next one up. Mission Wallace is not making it either. Johnny Wilson will not be making it either. Vincent Da Silva is the next one up. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the formation lap has begun and we will get the racing going in a few moments time. Place your bets. Who do you think will be taking it? We're hoping for no safety cars. We have about an hour and a half up, preparing to go. Omar Scorsia, there he is. He is going to be the one that we'll be watching to make his way through the field to see if he can put a fight to Mikhail Charles here this evening. So Mikhail Charles, alongside him is another Valkyrie and his good friend in Jaden Harrison as they head around the start finish line. Ian Lancer right behind. This is going to be a very dramatic beginning to this race here. We will get green light racing in a moment's time. Hopefully no safety cars at the beginning. Green flag racing. And it's going to be a drag race down to turn one. And you can... Ooh, what is that in the background? And that looks like an immediate safety car. And the safety car is granted. So leaders will be... Ladies and gentlemen, so we are on a full course yellow. Drivers are heading out to make their repairs as quickly as possible, which they will be rejoining at the back of the grid for each of their classes. So that's why you're seeing Raven Plummer here way ahead of everybody else, as well as Michelle Wallace and Kurt Moss, who will be overtaking the field. So unfortunate there for the beginning of an endurance race, but we will get racing in a moment's time. Just give us a few minutes as we try and get everything back on the way. And ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. We are now live again at racing, and LMDh has gone racing as well as GT3. The drivers in the pits should be joining us as we go along. Yes, they are. So Kurt Moss is leading that pack, which will be trying to catch up to the likes of Ricardo Swaby in front of him. So we'll keep up with that, what's happening. Amara Scorse in that Ferrari will be trying to overtake one by one. We have about an hour and 23 minutes remaining. Full safety car is now back out and the racing has gone. And right now, Jaden Harrison is leading from Camila Andres Mora. Mikhail Charles, the fastest man on track so far, is now sitting in P3 with Ian Lancer losing 2 positions there. So we'll see what can happen. It's a long race. Only time will tell. Jaden Harrison will be leading for the pack for the interim. Cesar Barahona sits there in P3, looks down on the GT3 in Nathan Bryan in front of him. Rohey Robinson, one of the biggest winners so far, has made its way up into P4, and he is going to have a very brilliant battle here as that will continue on. Kurt Moss now was in P2, now sits in P9, sees the likes of Vincent da Silva. Vince did not qualify, and that is a brilliant beginning for him. Now safety car obviously did help him. He sits behind the likes of Shannon there, the Bahamian driver, the Bayesian driver, my apologies, sitting right there in front of him. But we will ride along board now to watch what will happen in the next few moments as Casey and Michelle Wallace are going to be battling it out here to see who can make it further up the grid, P3 and P13 and P12. Michelle did miss the qualifying session. That's AJ Martin in that pink Porsche 911 GT3 RS, who is hunting down the likes of Dante Quarry. And Dante was further up the grid to begin. Unfortunately for him, now has some work to do. We'll continue to watch there as Mikhail Charles there in the hypercar, starting on pole position, is trying to force a move. Camilo Andres there sitting in P2 in that Cadillac, just waiting for his moment as well to shine. Where will this battle push them as the racing has just begun? 1 hour 21 minutes remaining in this series, or this battle. Unfortunate, Dan, we don't have the replay feature available just yet, but right now, as we see it, AJ Martin is hunting down the likes of, well, Rohan Harris is hunting down the likes of AJ Martin to try and see if he can make that move, and it does look like that move is going to be stopped, but no, AJ goes late on the brakes to hold off from the Jamaican. That Jamaican did come P2 overall in the standings last series, so that's going to be a battle that we'll continue to watch for in the next few moments. The Villepart now, he is on provisional pole, but he started on pole and will continue, has built that gap up to 2 seconds. He has found his footing here in Le Mans Ultimate as he now builds that gap to about 2 seconds. As that battle goes on, we were right on board with Mr. Massive, who will be chasing on the likes of the Panamanian in Vincent da Silva. These two started, well, Kurt Moss started in the top 2, was relegated due to whatever had begun at that beginning of that race, and now he is looking down the back end of that Lamborghini Huracan GT3 as Vince da Silva will be trying his best to see where he can get an advantage. Rohey Robinson has been complaining all week, now sits in the top 4. Mikhail Charles there moving up as battling in the hypercars will continue. And Jaden Harrison has fallen back. What happened with him as he falls down to P6? I'm sure we'll hear about it sooner than later. Camila Andres Mora now sits in P1, followed by Ian Lance, now about 2 seconds behind Carol Ide and Mikhail Charles, P3 and P4. So this battle they've already caught up to lap traffic, and that is Javier Brandao not too far behind. Who is that? Who DNF? That is Jaden Harrison. The first 2 DNFs between Jaden Harrison and Daniel Garcia. So that is pain and suffering for those two to begin this endurance race. There is a yellow flag. What's happening there, folks? Only drama here to begin this race. Raven Plummer sits in P7, has some work to do, but is making her way up through slowly. Omar scores. It hasn't made the throughway as quickly as we would have expected for him, but is making it nonetheless. Makes it up on Bruce Penn, and now Bruce relegated down into P9. Omar has Phil Brown now about 3/10 in front of him, and that is Bruce there in the grass. Or in the dirt, my apologies. And the battling is on between Omar and Phil Brown, the American and the Colombian, to fight to start this race. We'll continue to watch that as that continues. Vincent De Silva as well, hunting on the likes of Shannon and Kurt Master, just stuck in this dirty air now for them for the foreseeable future. I'm sure would not have wanted to be in this position to start the race. But with that being said, has some time to enjoy now sitting in the slipstream. But there you see him just poking a nose, just seeing if he can force Mr. De Silva to just make a move quicker that sooner than later. He doesn't want to sit and wait and have his race too far ruined, as it's already half after a really torrid start here in round 1 at Spa-Francorchamps. So as it stands, Camila Andres Moro sits on a pole position, 1.2 seconds ahead of Ian Lance. Cale Charles 6/10 off of him. Right behind him is his teammate. Raven Plummer sits in P7, not too far, but Omar Escorcia has just been picking his way through the field slowly but surely. This is a long race, 1.5 hours, 1 hour 15 minutes remaining. 15 minutes has elapsed so far. We've had 2 retirements so far, and we missed 4 other drivers. Roger Keller sits there in the pits. What's happening with him? As he seemed to have had an incident there, maybe in the wall, as well as Ramiro Dominguez. And there you see some damage to the front right of his car. So what has happened to that GT3 there in the Ferrari? And he is limping his way through. Joel Santamario hunting down now, pushing. Andres Covedo is the next. He had a bad start to this race as well. Took him some time to find his way to the pits during that safety car. We will try and figure out what had happened at the start, Dan, but we will just try and catch what's happening right now. Daniel Garcia is again one of the retirements from the race. AJ Martin as well. When the race had begun, we saw it in the background. We didn't know what exactly had happened. We just saw an incident there to start, and we will definitely be looking to see what had happened there. But for now, we just try and keep up with what's happening on track. Cesar Barahona is closing the gap now to the likes of the race leader in Deville Park. 7/10 the gap between himself the Panamanian and the Ville Park. Nathan Bryan not too far in the background either. He has been showing some pace as the racing has gone on. Kurt Moss there as well, just keeping up with Vince, not forcing an issue but just taking his time and following on board with that Lamborghini as they try and catch up to the likes of Rohey Robinson in that Mercedes-Benz. Rohey hasn't had much pace all in his tenure here in the GT3s at least. Since we moved from the Caribbean Touring Car Championship, but has found himself in the top 4. So we'll hope to see what can he do. Won't bring any commentators curse, but right now that safety car did lend to some really good placements there. You see they're going a little bit wide there, as you can see in the background Mr. De Silva and Kurt Moss there coming and coming and coming. Right now Mikhail Charles has caught up to the back of the Colombian, as well as Ian Lance there, right, not too far behind. 8/10 the gap between them. It's a little bit of traffic there between Carol Ayton and Ian Lance there. That's not what you want to see in that portion of the track. Long left hand though. I believe that was Carol there that you see. Yep, that it is. And that will lend to some help for Omar Escorza to catch up to his class, right, not too far behind, or not too far in front, my apologies. As he will be making his way through the field. Between Omar Escorza and Javier Brandao, fight for P5. Javier as well, he did end up beating the likes of Jamaica in Rotten Harris for the GT3 Championship, made his way into the hypercars now. We'll see where he can find himself as they go up Erusian Radion now down the Camel Straight, is hunting down the likes of Carol Ayton and is sitting there in the slipstream just waiting on his moment to shine here this evening. And there you see him putting on the pressure, and right behind him now is Omar Escorza as well, just waiting on his moment for a move to be made. Carol Ayton now there did go a little bit wide, got back on track, can hold out. There is some traffic here. That is Kurt Moss and Mr. De Silva there in the background, so they just trying to stay out of trouble. I mean, my apologies, Javier there is there just trying to hold out, and ooh, that is Javier and Omar Escorza, the two making contact in the worst position. Carol Ayton does get away, and that is Rohey Robinson in the Mercedes trying to hold off, just allow the LMDh car, the hypercar, to just get away as quickly as possible. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is pain, suffering, and strife. Omar Escorza now DNF for him, and that is pain to see here this evening as the hypercars head off to the pits, and that is disappointment. Javier Brandao, where is he put now? Raven Plummer does overtake in that Porsche, in that Cadillac, my apologies. Javier will just try to gain back as many places as possible, and 1 hour and 10 minutes remaining. And that was pain for Omar. Didn't get much practice, didn't get much qualifying, just came in at the last minute. So that is pain for the Colombian driver here. Andres right here trying to make his way through the traffic as well as he overtakes Mr. Robinson for the first time. had a turret start as well at the beginning of the race, so that's why you're seeing him making his way through. Will be pushing on as the series continues. Javier though clearly has some damage there because Bruce now goes to overtake him in that Aston Martin Valkyrie. And that is pin, ladies and gentlemen, for the Panamanian driver, but still, nonetheless, still a lot of time to go. Anything goes. It is endurance racing. There you see Rohey Robinson goes out into the dirt, and that is Kurt Massive there. Did make the move on Mr. Vincent Da Silva. Oh, what's going on there? That's Bruce Penner. That just pushed the likes of Rohey Robinson through the field. And that has to be a penalty. I believe that was Bruce. Yes, it was. Is being chased by Javier Brandao. So Rohey Robinson will be on the radio. Luckily not hearing any cursing in the background there. But that just looked like he just ran through the lights of the Jamaican. Andres there making his way through the likes of Richard Dial. Scottish driver. This has been drama at its best there. Deville Park has just found his way out of all the drama in that Aston Martin. Has been leading from start to finish. Cesar Barahona sits in P2, Nathan Bryan in P3, and guess what? Not too far in the background is Mr. Kurt Moss. Started off in P2, is making his way through the field, now finds his way into P4, so he has had quite an eventful race. Vincent Da Silva did not qualify, was sitting in front of Kurt Moss for quite some time, but now is in front, behind, my apologies, as a chase for the glory. Andres Quevedo there makes his overtake to move up and try and close the gap between the drivers ahead of him. What an eventful first 30 minutes. We've had a safety car already. We've had drivers taking each other out. We've had a collision with both classes. Mikhail Charles there is hunting down for the top step as well. 2/10 to gap between himself and Andres, the Colombian. Right behind him is the Cayman driver and Ian Lance. Carl Ayton there, 8 seconds, 7.5 seconds behind. But there is Mr. Mikhail Charles sitting there with that Valkyrie, just sitting in the slipstream, pushing that Colombian driver through and through. As they head through the fast left-hander, heading down now into the final bus stop. Chicane, will he make a move here? Andres does go defensive and goes on the inside, but the inside does become the outside now as Mikhail Charles moves up to take the top step of the podium and take P1 from the Colombian driver. Saw a little bit of a wiggle. Don't know if that's a celebration, but don't celebrate too quickly. He was the fastest driver to start. Now sits atop the podium in P1 of the overall grid as well as his class. Mikhail Charles, the Trinidad leader of 7 Mile Racing, now sits in P1. His three biggest competitors was Jaden Harrison, Omar Escorcio, Ian Lance and Andres Mora, and right now sits atop all of them, comes up to the back. Ooh, that looks very tight for the Aston Martin. Who was that? I believe that would have been, I don't even know who that was. We'll check that in a moment. But that was definitely a brown pants moment for that Aston Martin. The GT3 class now holding out. We have about an hour remaining and 4 minutes. Should finish racing by about the top of the hour in 10 p.m. What a battle this has been. Mikhail Charles will continue on with Andres Mora not too far behind, 3/10. Ian Lance there now sniffing the rear end of that Cadillac. So clearly something has happened here for the Colombian and Ian Lance now, the Cayman driver, seeing opportunity for himself to pounce in the likes on that Cadillac in the Colombian in front of him. But with an hour remaining, no sense rushing it. Just take time, make that move when you need to. Take a look throughout the grid. Casey Chapman sitting in P9 in the GT3 class. 4 tenths out. So he is looking at the Bayesian driver in front of him as they head down now into turn 1 for Ian Lance and Andres Mora. Mikhail extending that gap now to about 1.5 seconds. And just taking a look, Leo, we do miss you here, brother. We wish you could have been racing with us. But come in, practice with us. We still have space, so maybe we can get another qualifying session to see if we can get you in the grid. This is only round 1. Indian Stig Racing, it's a pleasure to have you as well here with the JSRA. Would love to see if you could join us as well. We may just have a qualifying session again next week to see if we can fill the grid fully. We did have a few retirements so far. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 retirements. With Omar Scorser, Ramiro Dominguez, Jaden Harrison, Roger Keller, and Danny Garcia, as well as some do not start. So we have 27 drivers who started this race, well, are currently in this race. My apologies. But as the racing continues, we watch as the Cayman driver just sitting in that slipstream, just waiting on his moment for that overtake to come. They are on the podium right now. 3 seconds of gap between himself is Mikhail Charles and the likes of Ian Lance and Andres Mora, the Colombian driver, as they come through the final sector now. Is Ian lining up a move now to see, maybe he sees the Trinidadian getting away, maybe sees that he needs to make a move sooner than later. Does take a look, but not close enough as they come around the final corner. No, a little bit twitchy there, had to catch it up, a little bit of a brown pants moment, but catches it quickly enough. Ian Lance now 6 tenths, the gap between himself and Andres Mora. Rich Diano as well is chasing down the likes of Shannon Dutton. Take a look at the GT3s as that gap is closing down. 7 seconds between Kurt Moss and Nathan Bryan. That's going to be a battle to come in the next few moments. Vincent Da Silva has fallen off the likes of Kurt Moss by a good 5.2 seconds. Is there damage? I see a little bit of a something there on the front right, on the right fender of that Lamborghini Huracan. So did he find himself in an instant only time? I'll tell you, continue to watch that. But right now, closest gap is Richard Dial. Ian Lance as well, still trying to push through to see where he can gain on the likes of the car ahead. But wow, what a dramatic start this has been, ladies and gentlemen. We still want your votes in the chat. We'll start voting for driver of the day once we reach to the 50% mark. So please, if you have any thoughts, start making the notes in the chat. We want it active as we begin the likes of the, not the best place for overtaking there. GT3 drivers just have to be as predictable as possible. Look clean enough. That is smooth sailing as Ian Lance there just waiting on his moment. The traffic is bringing in Mikhail Charles now. That 3 second gap has dwindled to about 2.5 seconds. Who is that in front? I believe that's Andres Quevedo. Not 100% sure, but 2.5 seconds is the gap. GT3s, that's Matthew Titus leading the pack there. Behind him is Sebastian Rodriguez and the Lamborghini Huracan. Who is that? Another lap driver apparently. But Sebastian and Matthew Titus, we've seen them been fighting in the last 2 seasons. see what can happen there. Michelle Wallace, the final point sitter right now. The point sittings does go from P1 to P10 for the hype for the endurance series, and P1 to P15 for the GT3 class. So keep that in mind as we head into the sprint series next week at Imola. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Rowan Harris that we saw in the Lamborghini Huracan, as well as Dante Query in that BMW GT3. But right now, the fight that we'll be watching is between these two for the top three, the second place in the championship on the podium for the hypercars. Continue to watch the gaps in between the field. Right now, this is the fight that we will be watching. The gap is closing slowly to Michael Charles. Maybe doing a little bit of field saving to extend this stint. Doesn't need to rush. He has the pace. Now 2 seconds. So we'll watch to see what can happen. Ian Lance there. Just chasing down. Ladies and gentlemen, any comments? We are looking forward. Be in the chat. Cannot wait to see you moving from Assetto Corsa on to the big stage here in Le Mans Ultimate. About an hour remaining in the endurance series. Spa-Francorchamps. As we see, I believe that's Richard Dyer. They're boasting the 7 Mile Racing livery in that McLaren 720S GT3. You can see the colors of the Automotive Art Cayman Islands, the sponsors of the 7 Mile Racing team here in the 2025 Mixed Endurance Championship. Brilliant livery there on the McLaren as well. A huge shout out to the team designer over there in Carol Eiton, as well as that livery represented on that Valkyrie. Flashing does make the move, allows it to move quickly. Carol Eiton about 11 seconds off. So right now, 7 Mile Racing leading the championship for the hypercars. The Ville Park there leads quite comfortable margin right now, 1.2 seconds. No need to rush for now between himself and Cesar Barahona. Absolutely done. And another beautiful livery is the one done by the Panamanians in the GT Panama, represented by Gulf. One of our good friends at the JSRA, they've never let us down before. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, the gap between Camilo Andres Mora is now down to about a second between Andres and Michael Charles. So what had happened for him there, as well as the gap between Deville and Barahona, that gap is now under a second for each of the leading classes. And guess what? They're right behind each other. So P1 and P2 in the GT3s now being overtaken by P1 and P2 in the hypercars. Ian Lance has dropped down now by about 3 seconds. with 53 minutes remaining. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what you love about endurance racing. Right there in the background as well, we did see Mr. Kurt Moss is 10 seconds behind Nathan Bryan as well, and P3 has some work to do, but 5.2 seconds between himself. The lap traffic did lend to some help for Mr. Charles there, unfortunately for Andres, because now that gap has moved up to about 2 seconds in the space of those the lap traffic, but 2 seconds drops to 1.6, back up to 2 seconds. So we'll continue to watch this gap as it continues for both classes. We got a little bit of excitement there for a moment, but right now Casey Chapman being overtaken by Javier Brandao, but is trying to make a move on the likes of Mr. Dyer there. Casey now being fought, and who is that? Oh, that looks very tight. As fast left-hander, you don't want to overtake there, but you do if you have the pace and the speed in the hypercars. But two go into the bus stop now. Later on the brakes is Mr. Jackman, the Trinidad driver. Had pace in practice, was in the top 3, and clearly has made that move stick now. Makes a move on the Cayman driver, the Scottish driver in Richard Dyer, our good friend, made his first podium in the last series. Now sits in P9, still in the points positions, but what a move there. Richard Dyer now will be chasing. Now even behind them, Ricardo Swaby. Where is Roy Robinson? He sits in P6 now after that incident, so he's right outside of the top 5 after that incident with the hypercar that sent him off. So he is chasing the faster cars in Vincent da Silva. So this is in that position that we assumed him to be in after that safety car. Has just been making his way through and through the field. Right now, Rich Dyer chases down Casey Chapman. Michelle Wallace, quiet evening for him. Was one of the faster drivers last season. Was on the podium in a few races, missed practice again as well as qualifying here, made it for the race luckily, but we'll see what can he do with the next 51 minutes remaining. We are now atop the hour. Shannon Dutton now looking down the back of the Jamaican, so he's caught up to the Jamaican in the Mercedes in front of him. Rohit Robinson, typically one of the faster drivers in the Caribbean Touring Car Championship. We had the farewell race last weekend, ladies and gentlemen. I did get the chance to join. It was so much fun, and it's so, I don't want to say disheartening to put that race to an end. But while I've been talking, now Michelle Wallace catches up to the back of Mr. Jackman in P9 now. Casey made a mistake, and now it's in the graphs of the Jamaican, and right there behind it, the BMW is the lights. Hypercars, I believe that was Phil Brown. Yes, it was. He goes overtakes him. Michelle Wallace now at least sees another place in front of him to make a move later on the brakes. Will he be trying to size up Casey Chapman now as they come out? The two go very wide off, not pushing. This is just elbows out racing as they have a drag race now to turn 1. This is an exciting moment for Mr. Wallace there, but does back out a bit early. Tries to see if he can make a move out, coming out of turn 1. And now, yes, he does. Trying for the switcheroo. And this is where it's going to get interesting, because now it's going to be a heading race up to your Rouge and Radion. Will they back out? Yes, Michelle Wallace does choose life and preserve. He is pro-life movement and does back out early to now chase down the likes of Casey Chapman. He knows it's a long race, no sense rushing, just try and push, maybe even use each other as they see Rich Dyer right up the road. And will the two be able to catch up, make a move in the next few moments? Only time will tell. But Casey Chapman and Michelle Wallace separated by 0.5 of a second. I saw a yellow flag. Who was that? Was that Phil Brown? Yes, it was. And he is in the walls. An American driver has put that BMW not where he would have wanted it. And that is pain and suffering and strife. But still, if he can bring it home, he can gain a good haul of points. There's 12 or 13 drivers registered here, so don't retire. But he is having a warm time getting that car out of the barracks. Or the barrels, my apologies. Matthew Titus there sitting in the pits, taking an early pit stop for himself. Sits there in P17. Just a heads up as well in the top, the fight for the podium. Kurt Moss has now brought that gap to 2.2 seconds as he chases down his countryman in Nathan Bryan. This race is not over for him, ladies and gentlemen. Shannon as well has kept that gap within about a second between himself and Rohe. So Rohe doing exactly what he needs, but still I'm sure would love to build and bridge that gap between themselves. Pull away a little bit, maybe even try and get a little bit more space away from the likes of the Bayesian driver behind him. Shannon here in his debut here at the JSRA, sitting in P7, has a good chance for a good haul of points here. He is rapid. We've seen him very clean and speedy in the qualifying sessions. Rohe there was trying to break the toe. Shannon did not look like he was aiming for it at all. So it doesn't look like he's trying to get too racy here. Maybe even trying to use Rohe to try and preserve those tires, preserve a little bit of fuel. So it's a strategy for the Bayesian driver in his debut here. And there are fights all throughout the field. Ian Lance there has caught back up to the back of Andres Mora. Continue to watch that, but right now this is the closest battle. Shannon tries to keep and bridge that gap between himself and the Jamaican. We will now take a look at the wonderful, the beauty to why we actually really like this platform. The on-driver HUD. Riding along board now with Shannon to get a little bit of his point of view, to see how his battle is going as he chases down the likes of the Jamaican in front of him. As we catch back up to the LMDh cars now, with both Ian Lance and Andres Mora. The two have continued their fight as they're now separated by 0.2 of a second. And as we watch them, even we'll take a look soon at Mr. Massive, who has caught up to the back of Mr. Nathan Brand, as well as Mr. Shannon Dutton, who has caught up to the back of Rohey Robinson. So who will move first? As the drivers are on the way, the battling is on now, ladies and gentlemen. We're at the 42-minute mark. 5/10 between Kurt Moss and Nathan Brand for the final podium position in the GT3. There is 0.4 of a second between Ian Lance and Camilo Andres Mora for P2. And Shannon is hunting down for the likes of... Ooh, that looks so tight. That looks so tight. That is Casey Chapman and Rich Dio. And I believe that was Andres Quevedo. But yes, we just take a look at all the battles going on right now. Shannon right now as well, hunting down the likes of that Mercedes right there. That is Carol Eiton making the move now. No, that is Carol in the pits. That was Mikhail Charles, my apologies. As he makes a move on the likes of Rohey Robinson, Camilo Andres Mora as well, not too far behind. Still being hunted by Ian Lance right there in between, waiting on his moment. Raven Plummer sits in P4. Kyril did make his pit stop. So we'll take a look. Right now is where the drama is unfolding. Raven Plummer has made her stop as well as Kurt Moss. Well, no, my apologies. That was the safety car pit stop. So that does not count towards their actual overall strategy. They did have to pit in lap 1, so that is why you're seeing that. But yes, that being said, the battle is on between Ian and Camilo. Andres is holding off for the likes, or from the likes of the Cayman driver and Ian Lance. Ian there pushing, and in the same breath, ladies and gentlemen, Kurt Moss is trying to make his move there on the... Oh my word, why are we missing it? Oh yes, there you see it. Kurt Moss has made the move, and unfortunately we did miss it, and that is pain. But he has moved up into the top step, or onto the podium, my apologies, of the GT3 class. While that battle is going on, we still take a look at what's happening here between Camilo and Ian Lance. Ian still hasn't gotten that move, but does look like he's getting a run. That is Vincent da Silva in front of him. Uses a slipstream in Andres. Ian does have to just back out of it. That is Vince da Silva just backs out as well and allows the two to go. The Toyota versus the Cadillac here this evening. We've seen it in real life. Now we're seeing it back in action. The top 2 steps, or top 3, my apologies, second and third now on the way. The battle is on, and now it's looking like it's almost a pit window for the hypercars as well. They should be coming in sooner than later. Mikhail Charles heads into the pits as well, and I'm guessing we'll be trying to see if he can go long on his pit stops. Has been rapid all season. Now in the sprint series we saw where the pit stops made and broke some of the drivers. Will that here happen tonight? Only time will tell. Miss Shannon Wallace as well trying to make the move on Rich Dio, and does make contact. The two sends Rich, the Cayman driver, the Automotive Arts driver, into the wall for 7 Mile Racing. So I'm sure we'll hear about that. He does move up into P9. Wrong time for the commentator to see that though, Mr. Wallace. Shannon there still tries to hunt down the likes of Mr. Rohey Robinson. Rohey there though is putting that car exactly where he needs to put it to hold off the likes of the BMW driver. That Aston Martin there in the background there as well, trying to see where he can put that car to just get through the traffic as quickly as possible. I believe that is Bruce Penner. Yes, it is the Trinidadian driver. Just making his way downtown, walking fast. Still a good haul of points for him here. So 7-mile racing in the hypercars. Sits now in P4 and P5. Raven Plummer sits in P3 as we see Ian Lancer heads into the pits. Mr. Andres Mora does continue. So will this be the undercut of the ages for the Cayman driver? Maybe saw that he wasn't going to make the pass on track. Or definitely seeing if he can make that pass in the pits. Mikhail Charles there as he is trying to wrap up sector 2. You see where Ian Lance will come out. All the time to tell. But as that continues, Rohey Robinson is pushing. The Ville Park has already pit. Insa Silva has pit. We'll take a look at the pit stops in a moment's time. Shannon backed out of it, so he said he's gonna try and make the pass in the pits. Who was that missed his pits? So right now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the pits, and this is where it's gonna get fun and interesting to see where these drivers will come out. There goes Mikhail Charles to pass. You heard the downshifts of that Aston Martin Valkyrie. What a brilliant sounding motor vehicle and race car, as Ian Lance there comes out only 8/10 behind the likes of Mikhail Charles. So was this a strategy call with the tires or the fuel? Only time will tell, but he is now only 4/10 behind, and he has closed the gap to Mr. Mikhail Charles. Camilo Andres Moro still yet to pit. We'll take a look at the number of stops now just to make sure that we're not mistaken. And yes, Camilo Andres Mora now makes his way into the pits to make his first pit stop. Ian Lance there pushing. And now is his moment to go racing, because now the fight is on for P2. Not even just for P1, but remember he was racing only a few tenths off of Mr. Andres Mora. So will Andres try and get the undercut or the overcut done? This is going to be fun to watch. Andres there you see Kurt Moss there entering or exiting the pits. What is it? Pit in. Yes, he is just entering in. But that being said, as they come down the final stretch now, fast left-hander coming up. Andres still sits in the pits, and it's going to be a long pit stop for him, as the two who he is racing will be coming around the final bus stop now. Andres still sitting there down. Ian Lance now right there in the slipstream of Mikhail Charles. Mikhail Charles will be pushing. Right now, Andres comes out of the pits. Where will this put him? The fight is on, the race is on between Ian Lance and Andres Mora. But no, it looks like the move has been done, as he has made the move outside of the pits. Camilo Andres Mora will be exiting the pits in P3, and Karel Eit now has some blue flags there. Will close the gap to Andres, but still not enough. Andres will come out in P3. Karel Eiten there comes out, or will be fighting, or continues that fight in P4. Ian Lance moves up into P2. 8/10 the gap between himself and Mikhail Charles. What a battle this has been for himself in these moments. The Ville Park now as well, a 10th off of Kurt Master. Kurt just coming out right in front of the Ville Park, so the undercut works for him as well, or the overcut, my apologies, works for him as well. Stayed out 2 laps longer and still comes out right ahead of him with 35 minutes remaining. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the battle to watch. Where or who do you think will come out in front? Cesar Barahona as well, he's made his pit stop as well, so he has made a overcut on the leaders as well, or has he? Yes, he has. So right now the battle is on between the two Jamaicans and the Panama driver. Does it make sense to fight now, or just use each other to push and catch up to the likes of Cesar and then fight it out in the latter stages? Vincent Da Silva as well has made an overcut on Nathan Bryan. Nathan now second down on the Panamanian driver. Where is Rohey Robinson? Rohey Robinson now lost out quite some bit, as both Casey, Julian and Shannon have overtaken him through the pits. So this is going to be, the field has literally turned itself upside down. Ooh, Kurt Moss there. Oh, that looks so close. And who is that? Is that Raven Plummer? Yes, it is, in the Cadillac. That was a little bit of a brown pants moment, but Deville Park now chasing down his countryman in Kurt Moss. Little squirrely there. Was it new tires for the likes of the previous race leader? Part there chasing down Mr. Massive himself. And so far the current standings, Mikhail Charles leads 25 laps so far, done by the Hypercars, 28 done by the GT3s. Yeah, Lance 1.8 seconds behind. Vale Park sitting in P11, but that's P3 in his class. What a race this has been. And the Vale Park typically in the midfield now, fighting for the top steps of the podium. So this, ladies and gentlemen, shows you that if you just put in the time and the work, you can easily make it up. Well, I won't say easily, but you can make it up to the top, because right now DeVille Park putting the pressure on the infamous Mr. Kurt Massive himself, one of the granddads of the JSRA. Please don't play that over for him and let him hear it. I don't want the cussing. But Kurt Moss there in the brilliant Bilstein livery will be representing in a JSRA livery next week. We are designing it as we speak by our own Kimani Eastman. But there you're seeing DeVille Park just taking his looks, being very patient as they head into the final chicane now. Ooh, very swirly there for that BMW GT3. Aston Martin right behind by his countryman, putting the pressure on. Nathan Bryan not too far behind either, chasing down the likes of that Huracan, driven by the GT Panama driver, our good friend Vincent De Silva, but good friends off track. An enemy of the Jamaicans on track. 6/10 the gap between them. Nathan Bryan hasn't had pace all week, has found it here this evening, is chasing down for P4. Rohey Robinson moves up into P8. Julian Narcisse has made his pit stop. Still some work to do. DeVille Park though, looking as they head down Kemmel straight into the second chicane. Just sitting there in the slipstream, 30 minutes remaining, a 10th off between the two Jamaicans, and this is going to be the battle to watch. And you're seeing him just sitting there in the slipstream, waiting on his moment. What a battle this has been. Ladies and gentlemen, we have about half an hour remaining. We've had some DNFs. We have Andres Queveda, Dante Query, Amara Scorsia, Ramiro Dominguez, Jaden Harrison, Roger Kello, Daniel Garcia, all DNFs. We have Declan Daniel, Diego De Cineros, David Cassisi, and Johnny Wilson, all DNS. A few did not, or just said they couldn't make it, unfortunately, because of illness. One lives in Italy. New friend, but still a good friend. I'm sure we'll see him sooner than later, but it's about 3 a.m. over there in Italy right now. So we knew it would have been hard for him to come. But the Ville part there, just sitting in the slipstream. We'll take a look on the inside now, and that inside will become the outside. So which will be the ideal line heading in? But the Ville part does look like he makes a move. Will a switcheroo be at play? No, it will not. But he will get a decent enough run, as you see Javier Brandao there in the background. But the Ville Park now makes a move on Mr. Massive. Mr. Massive will be the one to chase. The Ville Park has shown the pace all evening. Javier Brandao, P6 in hypercars. Yep, easy move for him as they head up Rouge and Radion. Javier Brandao, GT Panama driver, makes his move further up the grid. Kurt Moss now in that Bilstein livery will be chasing down the likes of the Ville Park. Remember, these two were P1 and P2 in the start of the race, but because of that early incident, Kurt Moss ended up all the way back down the grid. So possibly not even on new tires, had to try and figure out some way to get to the top three, back to the top three. But the battle between the two has led to a 6.5 second gap between P1 and P2. That, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be tears for these two, because Cesar Barahona, the Panamanian driver, has pulled a proper and decent gap to the likes of these drivers behind. Casey Chapman as well. I haven't forgotten about you. 7 tenths, 5 tenths now. The gap between himself and Shannon Dutton. Watch to see what happens there. Right now, the closest gap between himself and the Bayesian driver in front of him. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Charles overtaking the field, the leader of the hyperclass. Seeing him, he's trying to move his way through as quickly as possible. No time wasted as Ian Lancer not too far behind. He's watching in the background. There's no place to overtake here. We'll try to get it right here. Yep, there you see him go to make a move. GT3s will take the wider line. The hypercar makes his way through. Lost about 1.5 seconds there. Ooh, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is Vincent da Silva and one of the hypercars in Michael Charles. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you say it's never over until the fat woman sings. And the fat woman has not sung yet, because Mr. Ian Lance is now on the back of the likes of Michael Charles. Will Michael have damage? And that as well is Camila Andres Moro right there behind. And the three have now caught back up to each other, and this is going to be a battle. That was Vincent da Silva, and there you can see no rear wing, damage to the front wing as well, and his race is now undone, and that is pain and suffering for the Panamanian driver. He's now doing his repairs, and that is pain for Mr. da Silva, the GT Panamanian driver. But it is hope for Mr. Lance now, because that almost 4 second gap has dropped down now below a second, as well as Camila Andres Mora now has the lights to at least see the leader in front of him. And this is where it's going to get good, ladies and gentlemen. With the last 25 minutes, we are now leading to the final quarter of the race, or less than a quarter of the race left. Whew. Now is where the battles will begin. Well, we even watch that. Casey Chapman now still trying to see if he can put the move, so we'll continue to watch that gap between Ian and Michael Charles, as well as Camilo, for the top three of the hypercars. But right now, the fight for P5 is on between Casey and Shannon. The battle for the Caribbean supremacy is on. This is a Pan American Championship. We have drivers from Colombia, from Panama. We have even international drivers as far as Australia and Italy and Switzerland. It is a global championship. We're glad to have so many different representatives. We do need to figure out something with the time zones as well. But that being said, Mikhail Charles has lost his lead now to Mr. Ian Lance. Mr. Lance has taken the lead from the Trinidadian driver racing for 7 Mile Racing. Has the damage been too, or is the damage too much? You're seeing it look very squirrely for the Trinidadian driver. Let's take a look at his steering wheel and see what's happening there. Is it straight? Yes, it looks straight. And while we've been watching this, we unfortunately missed the move between Shannon and Casey, because that battle is still going on right now. And Casey is just sitting down, waiting on his move at the head up Radion now, or through Radion, my apologies, up your Rouge. Did get a run, heading down now to Kemmel Straight, and as they head down to the bus stop, it's going to be a drag race between the two. It's Aston Martin versus BMW. BMW has the inside will quickly become the outside. Ooh, and the two make contact. Ouchies. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Rohey Robinson too far out to capitalize from that. But right now, Casey and Shannon, the two did make contact. You can see Shannon, Casey there trying to feel his steering wheel. Was there too much damage, or is there damage? And that, ladies and gentlemen, what happened there between Shannon? I saw him lose the back end a little bit. Seems as if he's caught it, but wow, that is pain for the two. But that battle will continue. But while that battle continues, Mikhail Charles has clearly caught his footing. Maybe his tires were overheating earlier. He's caught his footing now because he's now back underneath a second between himself and the likes of Ian Lance. Ian cannot get away right now. 202.8 for Ian Lance, 4/10 quicker. 202.433, the two best laps so far, separated by only 4/10. Flash, 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 going up your Rouge now. This is gonna be so tight. Woohoo! That's such a, oh, what a moment. Brown pants moments for the GT3 class. Rouge is not the best place to go and overtake, but still, you don't want to waste too much time. He saw he had to back out early, and that gave or lent to some space between himself and Ian Lance. Ian just took that and ran. We have 20 minutes remaining. Now officially the 20-minute mark, ladies and gentlemen. 1.2 seconds remaining. And this is an endurance race, ladies and gentlemen. The excitement hasn't stopped from the beginning to the end. Can you imagine? This is only round one at one of the torrid tracks. We are at the Spa-Francorchamps. Next week we do go to Imola. It's going to be even crazier with the overtakes. That's going to be what a battle to watch, if I do say so myself. 5/10 gap, a little bit of lap traffic there. AJ Martin in the Porsche 911. Best sounding GT3 in my opinion, but they got real close with the likes of Andres Mora, the Colombian driver. Now the battle is on and continues on as they head down, start, finish. Take a look at that final AJ Martin there. Ian Lance there did go off track, and that does allow Michael Charles to take back the position and moves right back up into P1 as they head up Rouge and Radion. But right there, right in the background, is Andres Mora sitting in P3, still waiting on his moment to gain an advantage. So he's just waiting on the 2 in 4 to make a mistake and allow himself to get up and move up a little bit further up the grid. Ian Lance there again, just waiting. 18 minutes remaining. The battle is still very much so on. That is Ron Harris there in the Lamborghini. He dominated last season in the GT3s with the Lexus RCF GT3, but has switched over to the Lamborghini. Will we see a mid-season change? Hasn't had the greatest race so far. Did have pace though all week, so it's surprising to see him back there. Maybe his race just didn't lend to the strategy that he would have wanted in store for him this evening. Just checking the commentary, the comments there. Kani Kimani Eastman there missing in action, unfortunately. We did have a flash storm this evening or this afternoon, so a lot of it, we were actually worried about the stream. As you see, Mr. Lancer was taking a look just to remind him his competitor that he is there, but they're right there in the slipstream there, sitting as they chase down each other, going to the first or the next 3 or turns 3, 4, and 5. 5 right there as they head through Radion and down the Kemmel straight. There goes, sits in the slipstream right here. You can see Michael Charles trying to break the toe, and you can see very powerful there. You see him gaining. Breaks early, has to. Tries to just carry as much speed there. Ian Lance with the Trinidad driver. The Trinidad driver thought he had a getaway here, but still not enough for him to get away. But Neo, seeing you saying you need to go to bed, or thought you could go to bed, no sirree, this is the racing that you get here at the JSRA. Hopefully we can get you in the grid next week. We'll see what can be done. We do have 2 spaces open. Try our best to see what can be done. Try and get some practice in. This, ladies and gentlemen, has been absolutely epic to say the least. Looking through the grid now. This is the closest battle on the way. The next closest is Camille Andres right behind, as well as Michelle Wallace chasing down Rohey Robinson for P7. That battle between P8 and P7 is going to get good in about 2 laps time. Rohey does have the fastest overall lap between the two. He's complaining that he didn't have pace all week, so we'll watch to see what can happen there. Ooh, Ian there, very light on the brakes. Looked like he was going in really quickly as he overtakes Mission Wallace now as they catch up to Mr. Rohey Robinson, and this is a battle. Maybe that will bring Rohey in a little bit closer. No, it will not. Or maybe it will as they come out to turn 1. Wowzers, what a battle this has turned out to be. Michael Charles, who looked like he had checked out originally, now has the pressure of the Cayman driver in Ian Lance, unrelenting. The only other 2 or 3 that would have wished to have had here right now is Mr. Omar Scorsese and Jaden Harrison, even Daniel Velez. Those 3 would have just lent to some really good action here in these stages of the race. We know how good they are with tire management. We know how the late race battles can go, especially with the 3. Estefan Abarra, another one who should be mentioned, but unfortunately cannot make it due to some PC issues, but he will hopefully be making it in the middle point of the series. But that being said, we focus on who is here now, and right now who is to be watched is Mr. Lance, 4/10 between himself and the Trinidad driver. We have 13 and a half minutes remaining. I feel like my mouth hasn't gotten a break since the beginning of this race, and oh word, this is going to lead until the ending stages of this race. What a battle this has been. To the next driver ahead. One sec. Ooh, and GT3s just didn't know where to go. You can see Andres there in the background. He's trying his best to catch up to the likes of the drivers in front. He is on the podium. The three are about to a full pit stop and well, about a pit stop. A little less than a pit stop ahead of P4 and P5. Here in that Valkyrie. Was doing some laps with him in qualifying. It's always so fun to be in. Ooh, very maybe losing a little bit of grip there with the rear tires. There is Andres. He is definitely enjoying himself out there. A few brown pants moments this evening. We will take a look back and try and get some highlights out on our YouTube channel as well as our Instagram. So please stay tuned to what we have in store. But what a battle this has been this evening. I feel like this is the first moment where I can come up and sniffing the rear end of that Cadillac. They have some GT3 traffic. Doesn't want to rush it, but does make the move eventually. That is Ricardo Swaby that they caught up. Yep, it is. Raven Plummer trying her best to get away from the likes of the Panama driver. We've reached to under 10 minutes in the race. It's 8.5 minutes remaining, and Ian Lance has put the turbo on. Overtake, I believe that's Matthew Titus. Ooh, looked very close there. We'll just take a quick look now. Again, how many laps have been completed? $37 laps for the hyperclass. $32 for the GT3s. The GT3s have just kind of decked out between each other. Cesar Barahona, 10-second gap, was in P3 and just held that lead and just did what he had to do. That is AJ Martin getting in the middle of a hypercar sandwich. $32 laps there for the current standings, at least for the GT3. And while I'm watching watching this. The battle is on between Raven and Javier Brandao. Javier, though, is going for the move, and it looks like he's trying to get that move done. Rowan Harris was at the wrong place at the wrong time, but the battling still stays clean. Javier backs out of it. Looked like he had the move done, but still not enough. Just backed out of it and chose. He knows he has the pace. He knows he has the time. At this point, just wait it out, man. And you will get your moves done and stuck. Ooh, and never mind. Maybe that's a little bit of the commentator's curse, because he almost lost it, and that gap now builds up to 1.2 seconds. With 6.5 minutes remaining. Will continue, and while we watch that, Ian Lance as well still putting the pressure on Michael Charles. 3/10 the gap between the top two in the hypercars. The Ville Park, though, has entered into the pits. Did he under fuel, ladies and gentlemen? Will this be the undoing for his race, or did he just not do the right strategy? Only time will tell. But right now, with 6 minutes remaining, you do not want to enter into the pits. Nathan Bryan now promoted onto the podium, as well as Casey Chapman, who is coming on the final left-hander to head down into bus stop. And the Ville Park sits, and this is going to be a long wait for him, to say the least. Javier Brandao, my apologies, has made the move on Raven Plummer. Now that gap between 2 seconds. It looks like Raven, it was immediate, so it looks like Raven may have went off the track there, and Javier just made it the best of that moment. Ian Lance, though, as well, has made the move. And who is that? That is Michael Charles! Oh my word! That is Michael Charles in the wall! And that without a rear wing in the last 5 minutes! Michael Charles has found himself, the man who has been dominating from start to finish, now will be a DNF this evening. What a drama! What dramatics to this, the finish to this race. His teammate does finish on the podium as it stands with 4.5 minutes remaining, but Ian Lance and Camila Andres Mora sits in P1 and P2. What happened there? We will take a look at the end of the race, but Michael Charles has retired from this round one at Spa-Francorchamps. And that, ladies and gentlemen, if it is not endurance racing for you, well, welcome to endurance racing. Michelle Wallace now right back there on the back end of Rohit Robinson. The fight for P6 is on, and this now is the closest battle for a good haul of points as well, especially for where both of each of them started. Where will they finish? They both found pace here this evening, both very late to the party, but still good points haul if they can just finish out. 4 minutes remaining. Ian Lance leads for the LMDh. The Ville Park came out P10, so started in P1. He's the biggest loser right now off of a pit error. So the two leaders, pain, suffering, and strife for the both of them in these latter stages of the race. The Ville Park from P1 now in P10 looked promising for the start to the finish. Michael Charles, no points here this evening. A dramatic end here for the Trinidadian driver. Javier Brandao making his way through. He's back. Mark and Jaden Harrison there calling out the commentator's curse. Not on I, Stephen Stewart, but on Mark Ryu. Coming out, I just saw Michael is a beast at LMU, and less than 5 minutes later finds himself in the wall for the second time this evening. What a dramatic finish. Ooh, and that is Rohit Robinson being spun out by his countryman in Michelle Wallace. This is the second spinning for Rohit Robinson. We know he had a rough running earlier with the hypercars, and now with his own countryman. Shen Wallace. Looks like he's waiting it out. Not sure entirely, but not pulling a gap. So I'm assuming just waiting on Rohit to catch up and pass him as quickly as possible. And then get back fighting in the latter stages as we have 2 minutes left. So about 2 more laps of racing for these two. Maybe not waiting as a matter of fact. So I guess we'll hear about that in the steward room later. Well, we'll watch this battle. Oh, Camila Andres is now catching up to Ian Lance in the last minute and a half. So we should have 1 more lap of racing after this. Where will that lead these two? Will there be another mistake, ladies and gentlemen? This is endurance racing at its best. The drama, the grid, everything has fallen right on its feet. We started with 11 drivers in the hypercars. We're now down to 6. We started with 23, 24 drivers in the GT3. We're now down, or 22, my apologies, we're now down to 15. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 DNFs. There you see Andres is making his way through. And you know our typical story, he's walking fast as he's now homebound. Ian Lance there still being chased. 4/10 gap between himself and the Colombian. 22 seconds remaining, so this will be 1 more lap of racing after this one. And Andres there, you can see hounding the rear end of the Cayman driver of that Toyota Gazoo hypercar. The Cadillac, will it make its comeback here this evening? Sits in the slipstream, immediately goes defensive. It's Ian Lance. This is a final lap of racing. Little bit of contact there, the two pushing each other through turn 1, and this is going to be the race now, ladies and gentlemen. It's white flag racing. Denso Toyota Gazoo Racing has a head up the likes of the Rouge and Radion. The two front wheels lifting off of the ground, and they're on a straight race, on a drag race now, going down the Kendall Straight, and this is going to be the epic portion of the race. Goes defensive is Ian Lance. Is he doing a little bit of fuel saving? Is that what's happening? Maybe, maybe not. Does try and close it out. The inside does become the outside, but does quickly come back the inside line and does have to hug it out. Will immediately go defensive. Will he? Yes, he does. Tries to hold that line from Andres. Andres puts the line on him and does try to make the move, but the outside will become the inside will become the outside. And again, this is a battle later on the brakes there. Though is Andres. Andres takes the lead from Ian Lance in these latter stages of the race. Oh my gosh. Andres now does take P1 from Ian Lance there, and what an epic battle this has become for the top step of the podium. And these two who haven't battled much, Andres clearly left the pace up until the last moment. Use the two fighting in front, but the race is not over. The fat lady hasn't sung yet, and there you can see it goes with the switcheroo in Ian Lance. Immediately goes the fences Andres, and there you can see the run that Ian has, and the two, now it's going to be a drag race. He does have the run, but that will quickly become the inside line, but the inside will become the outside as they head down into the fastest section of the track. Fast left-hander, and now where will Andres go? He will go to hug the inside line to protect it off from Ian Lance, and this is the final moment. Don't hug it off, and they come to the final bus stop. Goes on the inside. Will Ian get the run? No, he will not, and comes around for the final drag race. Mr. Andres Mora comes across the line in P1. What a final lap that was. Ian Lance finishes off in P2. A good 1 second off. What a battle that was to finish off. Kurt Musto, he now has taken the lead from Cesar Barahona. What happened there in the midst of all the battling that we were watching? Kurt Moss has taken the lead of this race, seen damage on the front of that BMW GT3 in the likes of Cesar, but right now it looks clear. We're not gonna say it until it's done. Right now, Kurt Moss has a 1.2 second gap to the Panama driver, Nathan Bryan, as well in P3. Good points haul for these drivers, especially damage limitation for Mr. Massive here, because he started P2, fell outside of the points, had to join the safety car pack at the back of the line, and is now sitting atop of the podium for the GT3 class. Sits in P1 as it come around the final sector. It's down to the final chicane now, and it looks like it's gonna be a stamped, sealed and delivered by the Jamaican. It's not done yet, but comes through the final chicane, goes right, goes left. Now it's just a drag race. Keep it clean, and it looks like it's done for the Jamaican driver representing the JSRA, Mr. Kurt Moss, for the GT3 class. Takes P1. Cesar Barahona was leading, saw some damage on the front. What happened there? Nathan Bryan, the first podium for him in Le Mans Ultimate Series, takes it in P3. Casey Chapman there in P4. Carol Eiton as well sits in P3. Javier Brandao comes across the line in P4. Bruce Pena in his debut here at the JSRA comes, well, hasn't finished yet, but will be coming around, passes his own Aston Martin, not teammate, but still class-like. Finishes off in P5. And Bruce Pena finishes off in P5. What a battle this has been. Casey Chapman now crosses as well in P4. Shannon Dutton. What a battle this has been, ladies and gentlemen. Vincent Da Silva though tears for him. It was an incident with him and the previous race leader for the hypercars in Mikhail Charles. That's what brought Mr. Lance back into the mix. But what an event this has been. We're going to get the drivers in for the interviews in a moment.
The pits.
Yep.
No, I had to change because I don't know why I was just losing pace. The car just like I don't know if you realize like after like you like reach fourth, I wasn't even driving hard, bro. I was just losing pace like bad. And all of a sudden Like I just say even the way back a catch, and I was like, okay, it's just I need tires or something. And then at the end, I was catching you guys up, so I was like, that doesn't even make sense. Like,
My
man, I don't
tires
know.
were
It was
done, so that's why you were probably gaining on me at the end because my front tires were like less than 50%.
so if I didn't over fuel, I probably would have. It would
It
probably
would
would
have
be a
been
different
closer.
outcome.
Yeah, it would have
Yeah,
been closer.
Good drive,
but
Ian. Good
good
drive,
drive
Cam.
though. Good drive though. You
Yeah,
still
man. Respect.
that
Same to you,
that
man.
contact in the
Kurt, that was
last
epic.
corner
Like,
though. Oh.
What's that, Ian?
no, it's Carol. I was saying good drive, Kurt. Like that was a really good drive.
Yeah, man. Respect.
Yeah, but that contact we had, man, I was like, because the car kind of step out and I didn't know you were gonna try to go for it, and I was like,
Yeah,
I was
you
stressed.
messed it. You kind of overshot the car. You lost it, and I guarded on the inside. And I don't know if you never realized.
Right, no, I didn't realize you shoot up because the car spun and you went out of my mirrors, and then by the time I went back on the racing line, it was like we already made contact. 'Cause I was like, oh, you know, but
Right.
Carol,
I'm glad it never ended differently.
Yes.
Definitely.
yo, I come and check you, bro. I bring in 2 big spliffs, dog.
Most deaf.
Yeah, bro. I get in the car right now. Are you really? I thought this was the oh my god. Yeah, man. 2. You know. Man's wilding out, bro. Why you doing me like that, dog? Oh man.
The thing legal going on. Ain't nothing wrong with it. The thing is legal.
You feel me? Thank you, Kurt. Kurt is my defense attorney. You see me?
Yeah, nothing wrong
Hey.
with that.
Dang, man. Oh. Oh my God! Wow. Boy, listen, that was a good race, though. I did not expect to be competitive. Y'all gonna laugh, but honestly, I did not. So to be where I was having fun. I didn't fall asleep at all.
Nah, you drove good, man. I picked the wrong setup at the start of the race. I'm like, oh dear.
Oh shit, that I'm good. Shit. Yes. Yes, sir.
Can we beg you to hypercars first, Steven?
Yeah, boy. Do the fast man them first and get rid of them.
All right, all right.
And pass and bedtime, Steven, so you let them.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, first we want to apologize for any obscene language or anything that was not necessarily up to the standard of the JSRA, but clearly the excitement got to our heads, and some of the drivers were enjoying themselves a little bit too much, but nonetheless, we are proud of what we just saw. That what a battle, to say the least, that was. I mean, from start to finish, from the beginning of the race, it was just battle after battle. To be honest, I feel like normally the sprint races are so dramatic. I felt like we might have been able to get like a little boring portion where we could have taken a break from here or there, but nonetheless, it was like battle after battle. But yeah, as the old heads have said, we will be starting with the hypercars first. And just waiting on the replay to start, and then we will get the replay or the interviews on the way. Please, if you have any questions in the chat, please put them out. We are looking forward to hearing what you guys have in store. Or again, there was so much that happened. It's a pity that we won't have the likes of Deville and Mikhail Charles, but I'm sure Mikhail will not like to speak very much right now at the moment. But that being said, what an epic 1.5 hour of racing. This was round 1 at Spa-Francorchamps. Most drivers are saying this was the one race that they were dreading more than any. The next one that they're very much so not looking forward to is Sebring, which is October 10th. So that's about 3 weeks from now. Not 2 weeks from the week after next week. Yeah, 3 weeks from now. So that's going to be very interesting to watch. As the likes of Sebring and the bumpy circuits can lend to some very dramatic, to say the least, moments. But yes, that being said, while the replay is loading up, firstly, we'll start with Mr. Carol Eiton, our good friend over at 7 Mile Racing. Had his team represented very well. Has the sponsorship from Automotive Arts, brilliant livery. We got some shout outs in the chat saying it was one of the better ones that they've seen. So again, a huge shout out to 7 Mile Racing there and their sponsors, and as always, just their constant support here at the JSRA, from CTCC all the way back to the Le Mans Ultimate Sprint Series, all the way now to our Endurance Mixed Series. But Carol, I've been saying quite a lot. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can.
Well, I mean, every good has some bad. Firstly, we want to talk to you about your teammates, Mr. Mikhail Charles. I'm not sure if you got to see what had happened there, but we'd love to hear your point of view on the downside to all of that happening. What are your thoughts on the incident, if you saw it? And even leading into round one, you got a good haul of points, but even him missing out, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I've never been so unhappy to podium before. Literally, I saw the incident. We had it in our team group chat, and I have to say, there were some really horrible GT3 drivers in terms of their awareness of where to be passed. Mm-hmm. Some of them were brilliant. I think everybody in the top 6 in GT3 was very respectful, but we really have to kind of emphasize to these guys, they just have to pay attention to their mirrors.
Right. Could you walk us through what had actually happened? Because we didn't actually get to see it on stream. I'm trying to find it now, actually.
It's about 5 minutes left. Ian and Mikhail were probably within 1 second of each other for about 4 or 5 laps. I was watching because I was P4 at the time, just looking at the timing. And then I saw Mikhail drop to 3rd, and then he went to the pits. And what happened was, I'm not sure which BMW it was, but he coming into the no-name corner, he was literally behind the GT3 car probably 2 corners before that, waited to overtook going out of no-name corner towards Puhan, and the GT3 driver just drove into the side of him. Oof. Which I found ridiculous because you're getting the signals for blue flags, you're being flashed, and he waited for a very long time after. So it's very disappointing because it would have been nice to go to our wonderful sponsors with a race win, on a P4. But instead, I'm happy we got a podium. I'm thankful, I'm grateful to Automotive Art for their support, and of course to you guys for hosting a wonderful event.
Man, I mean, we're watching it on stream now, and what a pity. That is pain. Actually seeing it there live, I can't imagine how you feel, but nonetheless, what a brilliant race. I mean, 5 minutes remaining, and that goes to happen. And we did joke about it, what would happen, what would you do if that was the case? But seeing it happen in reality, it's not as funny as it sounded originally.
Especially in an endurance race. I mean, you've gone this far, 85 minutes, and just a lack of concentration from someone not paying attention. We all have to be mindful we're sharing the track with everybody. So aggressive driving is I'm all for it, but in multi-class we have to be aware of everybody else. It's just really unfair that someone's race is ruined 5 minutes before because of carelessness.
Absolutely, and it was sad to see because we were so confused to what had happened. But again, we do have one drop race. It's sad that you'd have to use it on the first one, and again, especially when you had the pace, you had all sights to winning the first round. But that being said, in the beginning of the race, we didn't actually get to see much what had happened. Could you walk us through what you saw from your point of view?
honestly couldn't tell what happened to Jaden. I just saw his car in the air, basically. I really couldn't tell you what happened to him, but at first, you know, I I I saw Jaden and Mikhail battling. Jaden got taken out, I'm not sure. And then for the whole race after that, it was cool to watch Ian, Mikhail, and Cam
Man,
battle it out because they were only, right to the end, they were only about 2 seconds
Trust
split.
me.
So, Cam in third ends up winning just because he's consistent, which is the beauty of
Absolutely.
endurance racing. You just
Absolutely.
have to stay focused and be consistent.
Man, it was epic. And then my next question now, how was the race overall for you? I mean, finishing out in P3, I know it's painful, your teammate to lose out, but still, it must feel good to start the season off with a podium. How was the race overall for you? I mean, we heard your description of the GT3 drivers, or some of them at least. But yeah, would love to hear your thoughts.
Well, it was interesting because that early safety car kind of changed my strategy completely, and because Michaela and I were splitting the strategy, I was going to split with softs and change tires, and he was going to try and run the mediums the whole way, or vice versa. Once the safety car happened, the Valkyrie is horrible on fuel. Don't know if you noticed, Michaela and I, anybody who was driving the Valkyrie is about 5 or 6%
Yeah.
less on VE than the
Yeah.
other hypercars.
Yeah.
So if it had gone green the whole way, it would have been very iffy to do it on
Yeah.
one stop.
Yeah.
But the safety car changed the complexion of everything. I opted to not go for tires, which I'm not sure it was the right call. But what it did do is it left me basically in a very quiet fourth place.
Yeah.
Raven was about 15 seconds behind me, 12 to 15 seconds coming out the pits. And Cam was about the same ahead of me. And I was lapping about a lap slower than Cam and a lap faster than Raven. So after 10 or 12 laps, I realized,
Yeah.
really and truly, there was nothing stopping me from finishing in the position I was in, unless I made a mistake. So I just slowed it down, made sure I maintained the gap, and I ended up inheriting third because of the misfortune that befell my teammate. But sometimes with endurance racing, it's really just a matter of making sure you're consistent, you manage your gaps, you manage your car, and in this series, you manage the GT3 traffic.
Absolutely, and we do have Imola coming up next. Spa has a little bit more space. Imola can be a little bit tighter, so that's going to be very interesting. We're going to have to be a little bit stricter with the rules, but nonetheless, man, I mean, it's not the ideal start, but still a brilliant start to the series. And I am looking forward to what, especially next week. That's going to be crazy as a sprint series. But any final thoughts as we lead into next round?
Yeah, I just wanted to say too, thanks to the sponsors once again. Automotive Art has really been a huge help to us. We have another couple of sponsors we're in the works with, who are helping us out as well. So by the next race, we'll be able to make some announcements there. And also, I just wanted to say to, the really fast guys who ended up in accidents, Jaden, Omar was in a big
Daniel
accident
Garcia,
behind me with Daniel. Omar was in an accident with Javier Brandao, who was actually gaining on me quite a bit. So, if we can all remember that in these endurance races, they're 90 minutes, some of these guys had enough pace to easily be on the podium ahead of the people who are driving slower but more carefully. So just a reminder to everyone, just remember that in order to finish first, you gotta first finish.
Absolutely. Very well-known phrase, but still clearly not exercised enough, not just in the hypercars, but just overall. We've seen it time and time again in so many different race series, but good reminder. And again, huge congrats, Carol. Looking forward to hearing about your sponsors next week, and seeing you next week in the sprint series or the sprint race at Imola. Congrats to you and your team, man. Sorry about Mikhail, but I'm sure I'll see you come back stronger and better next week.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for hosting us.
Absolutely,
and
man.
Congrats to Cam for the win too. That was a brilliant drive, and to Ian on his P2 as well.
Absolutely.
And to Kurt, I was behind them right at the end of the GT race. Like, that was brilliant. Good win for him too.
And we are gonna look back at that replay because we did miss it. We just saw him overtake, but what a battle it was for him. But again, Carol, huge congrats, and we'll talk soon, brother.
Thank you.
Absolutely, man. A huge shout out to your sponsors at Automotive Arts and each 7 Mile Racing, the team overall. Just one love and all respects to you guys. We'll see you guys soon.
Thank you. Take care.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Carol Aiton from 7 Mile Racing, sponsors over at the Automotive Arts Cayman Islands. But right now we have Ian Lance. What a battle it was. Coming out to the pits, he actually came out about 8/10 off of Michael Charles, and that was where the battling began. But first, let me ask Ian, can you hear us?
Yes, I can definitely hear you.
Brother, first let me say huge congratulations, man. I mean, I lost my breath, especially in the latter stages, but I mean, all throughout the race, you guys just did not give me 1 second of a break, my guy. But if
Bro, it was stressful for me too.
I can imagine, because I was about to say, if it was so fun for me, I can't imagine how it was for you. But yeah, please give me a rundown of your race, man.
Well, it was a good race. I didn't start this race with a whole lot of with enough preparation. Feels like I was in a bit of a transition, but it was a good race. You know, I was surprised to even be in the top 5, and you know, I just kind of said to myself, okay, Ian, the first thing is about saving fuel, and this race is going to be decided in the end on the last lap. And I saw that Charles was not saving fuel. He was going all out, like, you know, the boy had the pace. You know, he was going all out, and I was like, okay, well, listen, if I have to settle for 3rd place, I'm okay with settling for 3rd place, but I'm gonna put myself in the picture, right? And I lost out a couple times in traffic, but you have to be patient in traffic, and you know, I was able to come out, and I don't know, I had the lead at one point and gave up the lead just because I was tiptoeing around on the curb, because you know the curb is a bit dangerous there at the exit of La Source.
Yeah.
And gave Charles back the lead, and here we go. You know, we were doing this thing where all 3 of us are like getting the lead, and yeah, it was fun. I honestly don't race this late. I'm usually in my bed now.
I know.
So, but I didn't feel tired at all throughout because I was just locked in. You know, I had to stay on it. It was fun, real fun.
Man, I mean, my next question, yeah, you already slightly answered it, but well, before I even get there, when you came out to your pits, what was your pit strategy? Because you came out, when you went into the pits, you're I think 3 seconds behind Mikhail. When you came out, you're about 8/10 behind him. Could you walk us through your strategy?
Well, the strategy was this race was always going to come down to how much fuel you could save. Right. So in the first stint, I made sure to prioritize that. I overdid it. I was only supposed to save fuel in 2 places, but I ended up trying to do it in like 3 and 4 places. As a result, I was able to save way more fuel than actual Charles.
Wow.
And when I went to the pit, I did not undo that by putting too much fuel. I put in like, I only had like a lap, 1 lap of fuel in reserve at the end.
Nice.
So that, you know, it worked.
So, all right.
It was dicey.
After that, no, I mean, you were putting the pressure on, you were 8/10 down, got into some lap traffic, and I think he built about a 2-second gap, and he was just managing it. You were just managing that gap. He couldn't get away from that 2 seconds. And then we saw Lamborghini careening coming out of, I don't remember that, the fast left-hander before the bus stop. And
yes,
you gained
Blanchiment.
And you caught right back up to Mikhail Charles. What were your feelings in that moment? Did it just be like races back on? And did you see the victory in your eyes?
I saw, absolutely. And a lot of what I was doing was when I do have some experience in multi-class. So I was strategically picking, even though I saw the GT3 car ahead of me, I was catching it. I saw that he had caught it. I was trying to line myself up properly.
Yeah.
You're gonna get slowed down anyway, so I'm trying to line myself up. That way I can carry as much speed as possible. And you know, on that one overtaking Blanchiment, when I got him, well, it was all about car positioning. I wanted the inside. He didn't think I had it, you know. I did. I got it.
It was such an epic move,
because
man.
I got it. he couldn't do anything on the right because of the Lambo. So he was stuck, and I
Yes.
thought out ahead. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get him right here, and yeah,
Yeah.
but I gave it up. But
Man,
it was fun.
that was an epic battle. My next question now is you and Andres. I have to talk about that last lap. I was actually wondering, was it a case where you were running out of fuel, or did he just have that, like he just got that line perfect for you for that last lap? What were your thoughts on that last lap battle? Even giving
I,
it up in the last minute.
I wasn't running out of fuel, but what happened in that last lap was it just felt like I'd missed my brake mark at first for La Source, and I felt like I had to like crawl up with the car. I couldn't get on it too dicey because the car was extremely light. This car feels extremely light with 1 or 2 liters in the tank. It's
Yeah,
just this thing just wants to spin around and do donuts.
yeah,
That's how it felt to me with the tires being worn. So I just didn't want to. I didn't want to overdrive the car, and we almost came together so many times.
yeah,
And I was like, okay, no, no, no. I want to finish the race. I
yeah,
want to finish the
yeah.
race. It doesn't matter if I have second place. I want to finish the race. I don't want any crashing. So I left some in the tank. I pulled some back because your boy can go a little bit hard. So I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna go
Just
hard.
finish,
I'm
just
gonna get
finish,
it.
just finish.
I matured as a driver, so I just chill. Yeah, I just chill out.
Absolutely, man. It
Let
was
him
an
have it.
epic battle. It was so fun to watch. I enjoyed every second of it. Huge congratulations, huge haul of points. You
Okay.
came in last minute with no practice, no. I mean, even qualifying. It was just epic to have you back, man. We missed you in the sprint series. You had a few
Thank you.
instances with the GT3 guys that got me a little bit nervous, but
You telling
luckily,
me?
luckily you got through
You
it
telling
cleanly.
me?
And
Oh God.
yeah, no, hats off to
What's
you,
that?
man. And huge congratulations. I know you wanted that win, but I know you're happy with where you won, all things being, because,
I just
like,
showed up here.
yeah, that's my point. So,
I'm driving with a new wheel. You don't even know this, but my main wheel is down.
oh
So I had to
wow,
put a button box and a wheel together
oh
this
shoot,
today. And not like I've been home driving all day. I've been busy, so I came in and so yeah, it
absolutely,
worked
man.
out. It worked out for me.
It was absolutely epic. The whole battle, the whole race in particular, strategy came into place, man. Huge congratulations. We have a long season ahead of us.
Thank you.
And this is clearly going to be interesting between you, yourself, Mikhail. We have Omar,
Ariel,
Diego, Karel,
Omar,
Javier. We have some
Jaden.
really good drivers out here, even Jaden. So,
Jaden was gonna win this race anyways. I'm
trust
telling
me,
you, I already know that. Jaden and Omar, they're in a different league.
trust me. So, yeah, huge congratulations
Okay.
to you, brother. Get some
Thank
rest.
you.
I know it's past your bedtime. Sleep well, and we'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Thank you.
brother.
Appreciate it.
Bless you.
Alrighty.
Bye.
Bye. Cool.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was Ian Lance. Right now we have Andres Mora, who did end up winning. He put the boosters on in that last lap. You can watch him right now as he's pressuring the likes of Ian Lance. But before we even get to that point, Andres, can you hear us?
Yes, mate, I can hear you. Can
Man,
you hear me?
absolutely clear and loud. First of all, again, I'm so happy we could get you in because you were actually registered to the GT3s, and then luckily we could have that second qualifying session that got you in. You were second fastest overall behind Mikhail Charles, and then fastest for your session. This evening, now you had pace. What were your thoughts on the race overall?
Yeah, okay, well, mate, it was incredible. Yeah, it's always fun, multi-class racing. Yeah, thanks God you did that second qualifying. I really like these prototypes, but I'm not very used to them. I just started practicing like a few days ago and just picked the car today. But the race was flawless, dude. Um, Drivers were fantastic. Multi-class racing has this kind of magic, but also kind of fear to be killing someone
Yeah,
or being killed by
yeah.
another someone else. But yeah, great racing, and well, it was great, mate.
man, again, huge congratulations. I want to start first. You were chasing down Ian Lance in the middle stages of the race, as well as Mikhail Charles. We'll even start with Mikhail. You and him had quite a few battles this evening. Could you walk us through those fights first of all, and your thoughts through the whole event?
Yeah, sure, mate. So, well, at the start, I jumped Charles, and I was behind the guy. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry. Just when the first safety car came out, and had a couple of like roving cars with that guy on the first few laps, and then he killed himself just coming out from Radion.
Jaden, yeah,
Yes, Jaden. Yeah,
yeah,
that's him.
yeah,
So, well, we lost him, and well, I don't know if he like after crashing, he came back to the track, like some kind of just bouncing back to the track, and I guess Charles and the other guys just left off, just trying to avoid him, and I had a few seconds, but Charles was two way faster than me, so well, he just catch me up, and well, I had him like for 3 or 4 laps behind me, and I used the traffic just to manage
okay, right,
to be able to have him behind. GT3s were helping a lot, and just I had a little bit of more like a straight line speed. So just coming out of the Orush and Radijon on the Camel Strike, I was just pulling out a
Julian.
few tenths just to be cleared out of him.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't know, like on the middle of my first stint, my tires were completely gone. I don't know why, just for some reason. I didn't have any kind of practice at all, just a few laps. So I think the setup just completely destroys the tires. And I was saving fuel since the beginning. I saw Charles was just flat out.
Flat.
Yeah, but yeah, that makes sense, you know, because if you do the calculations, just going flat out would work too. And he was way faster than us,
Yeah.
so he was just doing that strategy, just going like flat out. I saw I was lacking some pace, so I just started like saving a lot. Yeah, I was able to save like 3 more laps than Charles and just one more than I'm sorry, the
It
second
was
place.
Ian Lance, yeah.
Yeah, Lance. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And well, now the story of my life with this game and my engineer. Um, I just well, the idea was just as I was able to manage just to save 3 more laps. Well, my pit stop should have been like way shorter than the others and just pull out like few seconds in front of them. But I entered like 12 or 13 more percent of virtual energy
Oh
than I
no.
needed. So yeah, I just went out behind them, and well, at least I was able to like push flat out
Yeah.
just
For
to
the
the
rest of
finish
the
line.
race. That
Yes,
was my
and
next question. You did go for the overcut. You did just answer it as a matter of fact, but you did go for the overcut. I wanted to know your thoughts on that strategy. Like, if you didn't add that extra 12%, do you think it would have been a similar turnout to the race?
well, I think I will be. I will have like come out from the pits just in front of them,
In
just
front.
clear for a few
Yeah.
seconds, just maybe 3 seconds or something like that, or a little bit more. But I don't know if you saw my pit stop, but as soon as I was released from the pit box, a GT3 was
Oh
stopped
no.
just right in front of my box, and I crashed into him.
Oh
Well,
no.
we crashed into each other, so
Yeah.
my front was damaged, so that was kind of frustrating. But I think yes, if but you know Charles had too much pace, I think they would have catch me up at later in the race. So well, unfortunately, unfortunately it didn't work because my miscalculations. But yeah, I think that strategy will have worked.
Okay, well, all right. So you know what the next question is now. That final lap, man. It was like you turned on a high boost map on your car. You were just on that pressure mode. What was going through your mind? I know you knew you had the pace in you because you were right there throughout the whole race. Um, when you saw Eon go late, or yeah, late on the brakes and missed his braking point heading into the final chicane, and then starting that lap, you were right there on him. What was your thoughts on that moment when you just said, "Okay, I can actually do this," and you just put the jets on and you just started to pressure him until you forced your way through cleanly? It was all, I mean, it was an epic battle to say the least between the two. I was wondering if it was maybe fuel or something for him, but no, you were just full pressure. Give us your thoughts on that battle to take the win for this race this evening.
Well, mate, just after going out of the pits, I was so frustrated, just damaging the front of the car,
Yeah.
that I said to myself, just I'm going to go flat out. And as I had more spare energy to waste, I just used a little bit of more battery, and well, that was helping me on the straights. And at the last lap, well, this is something that I need to learn how to manage, because on the last lap, I had no battery at all. Um, but yeah, if you look just the previous lap, there was a GT3 just leaving a Stavelot that kind
Yes.
of slowed down a little bit Lance.
Yeah.
So I was able to just have like a little bit of slipstream.
Yeah.
And when I saw he did just went like a little bit of white on the chicane, I said to myself, I gotta go all in or nothing. I don't know if you can see that the last chicane on the last, well, not the last lap,
The
but the
lap
previous
before,
one. But
right?
yeah, I was just moving my steering wheel just left and right just to keep it on just on the exit. I managed to do a decent exit from the chicane, and he did went wide. And on La Source, we touched a couple of times.
Yeah.
Um, and just but we left La Source just too like close to each other, so I wasn't going to be able like to use his slipstream on the camel straight. So I just went a little bit on the left and didn't use his slipstream before Orouge to be able to do the like Orouge and Rallydown just flat out. And well, on the camel straight, if you see just coming to less comms, I kind of just lift a little bit early, and I was staying behind, but I saw he was kind of cautious, so I just well, left the brakes and just tried to keep on the outside. We touched a little bit there. Going out of Malmedy's also corner, we touched once again. On the Brussels, he just on that U-turn, he just went really defensive, so I tried just to push him like just to be on the very right of the track for him just to do the U-turn very bad, like had very bad exit. I was able to manage just staying on the outside and coming to a speaker's corner just when Charles like had his accident. I just sent it, you know. The thanks God he didn't try to hold the
Defend it.
outside,
Yeah.
because that would have been a crash, and that would have ruined
Both of your
this
races. Yeah.
battle. But
Absolutely.
yeah, it was great racing. Guy knows how to race side by side. It was great, mate.
Absolutely. It was great for us to watch. I am gonna need some honey and lime for my throat because that battle was definitely one for the ages, man. So huge congratulations to you both. And again, huge congratulations to you in particular to take round one as we head into the sprints next week. At least you go with a huge haul of points. So huge congratulations, bro, and I'll see you again soon.
Okay, no, thank you, man. Thanks to you just for pushing me up to stand up for the championship and for the hypercar class. So thank you, Steven. And thank you for organizing these kind of events. It's great to be here, and yeah, I'm looking forward to Imola. I'll try to have a better pace to match Charles in this one.
I'm looking forward to it, man. And again, as I always say, we couldn't have a league without you guys. So thank you guys as well, man. Congratulations. And we'll speak soon.
Thank you, mate. Have a
Thank
good
you
one.
too. You as well. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Andres Moro. Finished P1 in the hypercars. But right now, we have, for the first time in the series, it's been a long time waiting, Mr. Nathan Bryan. He has washed in his name in the Discord chat. I think we can take that out by now. Nathan, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Man, huge congratulations to you. You have been complaining all week, if I do say so myself. I mean, even when practice started, you were complaining. But then once qualifying began, you just found whatever pace that you found. And you were putting pressure onto the cars in front of you throughout the whole entire race. To finish off on the final podium spot, man, huge congratulations. Give us a rundown of your race, please.
It's not as amazing as the leaderboard looks, honestly. I was in shambles pretty much the whole time. Basically, the qualifying lap, I don't even know how it was that good. I messed up like 3 different corners, like messed up the exit, and got to the end. I was thinking, oh, next lap, I know I'll make it up, and I saw 21.9. I was like, ah, that can't be right. And I had at least like three tenths in it, and I couldn't get it back. But I was like, oh well, still fifth. That's good. And I was just trying to cruise to the end. I wasn't really going for a podium. I was just trying to, maintain position or, somewhere along the lines. And I don't know what happened at the start. I just didn't even make it to T1 and I saw a minefield in front of me. And I managed to get through that, okay. And next thing I know, I'm in third. I was like, or third or fourth. And I was
Fourth.
like, oh, okay,
Fourth.
I'll
Yeah.
take third. And I kept driving, race start, and I realized that my pace was a little off, so I just let who was behind me go because I was like, I'm not as fast, and I just kept driving. Kurt came out of nowhere. I don't know. I just started losing pace like halfway through. I don't know what was going on. Like, I was hitting my brake markers, but the car just felt just very sluggish out on corner exit,
Mhm.
and Kurt just kept reeling me in. I messed up my pit strat. I put in like 5 laps of extra fuel, so I lost like 15 seconds. So Vince ended up passing me,
I was about to ask
so I
about
went
that.
down to fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vince ended up passing me, and I was like, oh no, like this is it. I was like, oh, I'll just try to catch him, and I was kind of reeling him in, but there's a hypercar that went by me, and all of a sudden I noticed Vince just spun, and I was like, whoa. I was like, unfortunate, but, we have to keep racing, not,
No
yeah,
complaints.
I'm not gonna wait. So I just kept driving, and then I was happy at this point. I was like, I'll take fourth, like,
Fourth.
and then all of a sudden
Sadaville.
I see Davil going in the pits, and I'm like,
What's going
pit for
on?
what? What's going on? And I was like third, and then because of all that pit time, and then the car being off for nearly 30 minutes, I wasn't able to catch back up because I started catching back up P1 and 2, and because of all the mess ups I had, I couldn't quite catch them, but I'm still very happy. I
Man.
did not expect this today. This was not. If you told me this is how today would go, I'd say you're lying, honestly, because
Well,
I was
man.
even saying earlier, not to give me a livery because why am I gonna put on such a glorious livery to end in the back and
Well, man,
it's good. It's a good feeling.
I'm glad to have you here, brother. It's actually epic to have you in the chat. I mean, I hear you complain so much that it's just a nice breath of fresh air to hear you, so cheery and
Yeah.
excited. So anyway, we have Imola next week. It's a sprint next week, so just going to be 45 minutes. How do you feel going into that round?
I'm not sure. I'm okay with Imola. I'm not the best, but I do have a little bit of practice, so I'll definitely be practicing more, seeing what I can do. Maybe, hopefully, I can get back on the podium, but just try to do the best I can,
Absolutely.
and go from there. But this was a nice feeling to go into my birthday tomorrow for sure.
Tomorrow's your
This
birthday?
really nice. Yes, tomorrow.
Man, Sunday's mine. Happy birthday, bro.
Thank you,
That's
thank you.
epic. Alright, bro. Well, huge congrats again. Huge happy birthday to you again, brother. I'm excited for you. Enjoy, live it up, and we'll speak again soon.
Sounds good.
Alright, bro. Later.
Sure.
Ladies and
Bye.
gentlemen,
Have a good night.
you as well, Nate. You as well. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Nathan Brown, who for the first time this season, or for the first time in our Le Mans Ultimate season, has made it on the podium. So huge congrats to him. But right now we have the man who started in second place, Mr. Kurt Moss, fell back, and we're gonna ask him what had happened there at the start, because all I could hear was his race is ruined, and he was the one that had to lead the pack of, or the queue of cars. Shut up, Mark. He had to lead the queue of cars from the safety car of about 7 or 8 drivers, and have to catch back up to the back of the GT3s to make his way through the field. He was fighting behind Vincent Da Silva for quite some time until he finally got around him, had to fight through and pass, what's his name? Deville Park. Deville even gave him a run for his money for the. I've never seen that for the first time in my life. But to fight his way through all the way to catch up to Cesar and make his way onto the top step of the podium and win this evening's race. He has had one of those evenings where I feel like he just needs, as Carol and and Ian said, he needs one of those. But anyways, we won't repeat what they said. Mr. Moss, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All I can say is how did that happen?
Well,
Because
the question goes to you. Please explain.
I thought, as you said, I thought my race was ruined after that start because, yeah, I got caught up in the LMDh's mess. Someone forgot to hit the gas on the start and caused mayhem, and then I was trying to get around somebody who spun, and they didn't hold their brakes, so they clipped me. So it messed up my front
Ouch.
end on the car, so I had to pit.
Ouch.
So I thought my race was done after that.
Well, the first driver that you caught up to after that was Vince, and you and him were just picking through like lap after lap. You're being very patient, if I do say so myself, for obvious reasons. It's an endurance race. But was that the strategy? Just see where you end up at the end of this, just pick them off one by one?
Well, yeah, it's just the beginning of the race, so it makes no sense fighting too much. I'm just hoping, to try to push him and force him into a mistake, and then just go from there. But I'm not gonna fight and push and then take both of us out.
Out.
So
Right.
try to be as patient as possible.
'Cause there was moments, especially just after the safety car, where you're taking a peek, and I was wondering if would you go and make the move, because you don't want the faster guys to get too far ahead, but you just took your peek and you just poked back in and just allowed him to make his own mistake. Because that was my next question: how did you get past? Because you did miss it. There was about a gap of about 2 seconds, and then the next you saw you had about 4.
Stephen, I'm an old man. I forgot how I passed him already. I don't remember. I'd have to look at the replays.
I am looking through as I speak, but okay, no problem, man. But that was the story of the night for you, man. You were just picking them off one by one. I think I found it now. It looks like you're just chasing him, and we'll see it eventually. But yeah, moving forward after him, you had a battle with Deville Park later down. Now, I've never necessarily seen you and Deville fighting. What were your thoughts on that battle? Where he's just found pace here on Le Mans Ultimate. What are your thoughts on him as a driver now?
Yo, man, my thoughts were the same when this man got the pole. I'm like, where did this pace come from? Like, this man has never been challenging for the top spot. So I was
Right.
like, in total shock myself. But yeah, he had good pace. I think he messed up. That's why I passed him. I think he crashed. so he had to pit. That's how I got past him.
So that's what happened. Why I thought it was fuel, but okay, because we
Yeah,
just
I think he had
didn't.
yeah, both guys in front of me had incidents. It seemed they had a runoff or something,
Okay,
and that's how I got caught up to them.
okay, and just a heads up as well. You passed Vince coming up through Radion, going down Kemmel Street. You just had a run on him, and you just took that move and went, and just
Oh yes, I remember. I
yeah,
remember. I don't know if he. It seems as if he slowed intentionally. I don't know
yeah.
if he got like off track and
Okay,
didn't want to go over the
yeah.
limit with it.
Because
So
I,
yeah,
I just remember there was about a 1.5 second gap, and then you just took a 2 second gap. So yeah,
yeah. He slowed dramatically. That's how I remember now. Yeah.
okay. So at that point now, you saw Deville head into the pits. I think Cesar was about 2-3 seconds up the road from you. What was going through your mind? Did you think you had a chance to win, or were you comfortable with P2? And
Well, I heard my spotter say that he went off, like there was an incident. Um, and then I saw the gap. He actually had like a 10-second
right,
lead on me, and then I see it chop down to like 5 or 6 seconds. And then it just kept going down. I'm like, yo, Kurt, just keep on track, no mistakes.
yes,
It's coming down. He have enough time. And yeah, I'd pass him with 1 lap to go.
man. I mean, we saw it happen and we just didn't know how. Again, it's just it was a massive drive. That was just all like that's how I'll describe it from moving forward. That was just one of the all-time classic massive drives when he was back in his prime, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, in my prime, you're making it sound like I am out of my prime, like I'm an old man. Come on, don't do me like that, bro.
No, but I just messing with you, bro. But nonetheless, it was again huge congratulations to you, bro. Trying to find that overtake on stream right now. It seems like oof, what a move. Yep, it's on stream right here, ladies and gentlemen, so you can see Kurt just had a run coming into the final sector.
He didn't put up much of a fight because I think his car was all messed up, so
Right.
he didn't want a chance taking both of us out, I guess.
Yeah,
So it was pretty straightforward. No fight from him at all.
right. Cesar, we've had him in the last sprint series, clean driver. I wanted to see him on the podium. Glad to have him on the podium. Will admit a little bit biased towards the Jamaican team, but for obvious reasons. But nonetheless, man, huge congrats to you both. Huge congrats to you.
Respect.
I can imagine you should be
It's been a long
exhausted.
time coming. It's been a long time I've been on the top step, so yeah, I'll take it when I can.
So we do have a sprint series next week at Imola. Any final thoughts as we close out?
No, as usual, I always have to thank you guys for hosting these races, man. It's appreciated, and you guys have my support always. Keep it going, man. And I like the large grid. We getting the numbers in, so that's a good look.
Absolutely. I remember you and I having that conversation like I was sure. But I am grateful, and again, we wouldn't reach this far without you, especially Kurt. Ladies and gentlemen, from our first ever event, Mr. Massive has been with us to this day, and even if he cusses us out and says don't want to race it, he still sees his name on the grid, driver number 823. So, huge shout out to him as always, and again, brother, thank you for joining. It's always a pleasure to have you, and congrats. Glad to see you back on the top step.
Bless up, man, and you guys be safe.
Absolutely, bro. Thank you.
Later.
Later, man. And ladies and gentlemen, this does bring the stream up to a conclusion. It's been a long evening. Next week won't be as long as we head into the sprint series. Kurt Moss is not old, sir. But yes, we do head into the sprint series next week. Right, as we head to the Imola circuit, we head over to Italy. We do have an Italian, so hopefully we'll get him for his home Grand Prix. But we do have a sprint series or sprint round next week at Imola, September 26th. That race will be 45 minutes, so it won't be the 1 hour and 30 minutes. It won't be the long sprint race. It won't be the long endurance race like tonight, but it will still lend to some really good action. The track is going to be very tight, especially for those wide hypercar prototypes as well as those GT3s. So please join us again as we head into round 2 of our endurance series. This has been an absolute spectacle, if I do say so myself. The driving and the drivers have been absolutely epic. We have some drivers who unfortunately couldn't make it. Some of our friends over from Calypso Racing Community over in Trinidad, Declan Daniel, had some internet issues. We have John Singleton from Australia, from AC Karting, that we have a karting league coming up sooner than later. We have quite a few drivers that we're missing that should be making it next week. We have some drivers that unfortunately just didn't finish, especially with the early drama. We're going to have to make some changes to try and fix that to keep it as clean as possible. But that being said, it's been absolutely epic. I've had a blast bringing these battles to you, and I look forward to the next round as we head into round 2 at Imola for the sprint round. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I've been your host. It's been an absolute spectacle here this evening, and I look forward to next week and the next few rounds to come. Mark, you're opening a can of worms that you don't want to open right now, brother. Not here. You have the WhatsApp group. With that being said, I've been your host. I do look forward to next week, and I do thank you for spending your evening, to both the drivers for spending their time. I mean, it sounded like they had a blast. We had a blast here, and we hope that you, the audience, had a blast. Please leave a like, share it, and subscribe if you can. Share with your family and your friends. Get as many likes. We're trying to get sponsorship for the drivers, for the commentators, for the stewards. We want to incentivize the drivers as best as possible to see how we can get the support rolling for everybody. So the more likes, the more views, the more subscriptions, is the more likely we can get those sponsorships for the league, for the drivers, to incentivize them for their work, for the commentators, excluding myself, for the stewards, everybody. We just want to have a league. So please, it's the best way to support us. We look forward to more races, and nonetheless, with or without a sponsorship, we do want to just lend to some really good racing, a clean, hard, and competitive community. So if you are interested in racing with us, please feel free. There's a link to our Discord in the description, as well as our Instagram, our YouTube, and our TikTok. So I've been your host, and I bid you an awesome weekend, and we'll see you again next week for round 2 at the Imola circuit. Have a blessed evening, and God bless you.